Patriarch Ge, are you toying with me? Qin Chen's eyes narrowed, and without further ado, he slashed down with his sword. You. Ge Pu trembled with anger. Wasn't the other party clearly extorting him? Was even 1 million silver coins not enough? Moreover, he wasn't just spouting nonsense. Although the Ge family was a prominent family in the Great Qi Kingdom, they didn't keep that many silver coins on hand. Taking out 5 million at once was almost equivalent to 2 or 3 years of the Ge family's profits. Even for the Ge family, it would be a significant blow. Father, save me. Even if you can't come up with silver coins, our Ge family has so many treasures. Can't we use them as collateral? Having barely escaped death, Ge Zhou was scared out of his wits seeing Qin Chen about to strike again, and he hurriedly shouted. Although the Ge family couldn't come up with 5 million silver coins at once, with the Ge family's wealth and centuries of accumulation, they had countless treasures. Taking out a few at random would be enough to cover the amount. Hey, you see, young Master Ge Zhou has the right mindset to solve the problem. Your Ge family has been operating in the royal capital for so many years, you can't possibly not have any treasures, right? Take them out as collateral. I won't mind, Qin Chen said with a smile. In fact, with his knowledge and cultivation, silver coins were not important to him at all. If he really wanted to make money, the commission he received from the Pill Pavilion alone would be far more than 5 million. What he needed were various treasures, especially those that could enhance his strength and cultivation. Ge Pu almost vomited blood upon hearing Qin Chen's words, inwardly lamenting, of course you don't mind, those are our Ge family's treasures. However, under the circumstances, he couldn't abandon Ge Zhou, as he was his only son and the one he intended to inherit the position of Ge family head in the future. Suddenly, his eyes flashed as if he had thought of something, and he said, our Ge family does indeed have some treasures. I wouldn't mind taking the initiative to hand them over to young Master Qin Chen, but I wonder if young Master Qin Chen truly has the ability to acquire them. Upon hearing this, everyone in the Ge family revealed astonished expressions. Could it be that the family head was really planning to hand over the treasures from the family treasury? These treasures had accumulated to be worth more than 5 million, but they were all the family's accumulation over the years. Handing them over so easily seemed too reckless. Family head. Several elders couldn't help but speak out in opposition. Waving his hand, Ge Pu said with a cold expression, you don't need to say any more, I have my own plans for this matter. Qin Chen frowned and said indifferently, I wonder what Patriarch Ge means by asking if I truly have the ability to acquire them. With his keen senses, he immediately felt that there seemed to be a reason behind Ge Pu's decision. Hey, it's like this. Although my Ge family has many treasures, there aren't many that can be worth 5 million silver coins. Only a few of my Ge family's heirloom treasures can be worth that much, but these treasures are all located within my Ge family's ancestral shrine forbidden area. Even we cannot enter rashly. If young Master Qin Chen is interested, you are welcome to try. Ancestral shrine forbidden area. This. Upon hearing Ge Pu's words, many elders suddenly reacted, and Ge Zun couldn't help but exclaim in surprise, exchanging glances with each other. The other elders also had very strange expressions on their faces, some frowning, some looking strange, and some astonished. Qin Chen saw the expressions of the crowd clearly and sneered, Patriarch Ge Pu, judging by everyone's expressions, it seems there is some problem with your suggestion. Cough cough. Ge Pu coughed dryly, concealing his expression well, and said, indeed, there are some issues involved, which are difficult to explain in a short time. Why doesn't young Master Qin Chen come with me? With that, the crowd made way, and Qin Chen, although suspicious, was not afraid and followed Ge Pu and the others towards the inner courtyard of the Ge family's residence. The Ge family's residence was located in an extremely prosperous area of the Great Qi Kingdom's capital. The family had been passed down for hundreds of years, and its area was vast. In the backyard, various courtyards and pavilions were countless. Moreover, befitting a family specializing in jade, the entire residence was constructed with jade everywhere, which was refreshing to the eyes. After walking for a while, the group arrived at a place with lush vegetation. Here, Some peculiar jade stones were piled up, all of which looked very ancient. Even the road was covered with a layer of ancient moss, looking very old and having been there for many years. In the middle of the forest, there was actually a jade-paved building, which seemed particularly refined and detached among the modern buildings. Moreover, the entire forest was filled with a magical aura, giving people a strange feeling, as if they were in another world. At the same time, Qin Chen felt that as soon as he entered this place, his soul seemed to fluctuate slightly, as if he had drunk a mouthful of cold water on a hot summer day, and his heart was incomparably comfortable, with all his pores expanding. Qin Chen's pupils shrank, and he said in a deep voice, "What is this place? What a strange feeling." Ge Pu smiled slightly and said, "This is the ancestral shrine of my Ge family, and also the forbidden area of my Ge family. The many jade stones here have been collected by my Ge family for hundreds of years and are very precious and cherished. Among them, many jade stones are very ancient and have a long history." "Oh, let me see," Qin Chen said. Qin Chen was stunned and looked intently. He saw that the forest was covered with jade stones, all buried in moss and soil. Even under his feet, there was a jade stone path leading directly to the jade-paved building in front. "This is blue and white jade." Looking at the jade stone road under his feet, Qin Chen couldn't help but blurt out. Blue and white jade is a very rare jade, named for the blue and white patterns inside. It has ancient origins and can be used to engrave array information well, so it is often used in array discs and is very valuable. This kind of jade is difficult to find in ordinary jade shops. Unexpectedly, in the Ge family's residence, there is actually a path made of blue and white jade. This is glazed 8 treasure jade. Afterwards, Qin Chen's gaze fell on a corner not far from the mountain forest, where a jade stone was placed. Although it was covered with moss, it could be seen that the inside was glazed in color and had 8 patterns. It was obviously the legendary glazed 8 treasure jade. This kind of jade is even rarer. It is said to be produced in the extremely hot land of the West. Because it is exposed to high temperatures all year round, it appears glazed in color and has an excellent effect on heat conduction. It can be used in weapon refining to refine some fire-based treasures. That is cold heart jade. Finally, Qin Chen set his sights on the jade-paved building in the center of the forest. Cold heart jade is a treasure jade that emits a slightly cold attribute. This slightly cold attribute does not harm the human body, but it can erode the human spirit. Long-term wearing will have a certain impact on the spirit, but it is also very cherished when used in weapon refining. These treasure jades are very rare in any place in the Northwest 5 Kingdoms. Although they are not so heaven-defying as to be priceless, they are also very rare. Unexpectedly, in the Ge family, they are actually placed here at will, which is shocking. Hee. I didn't expect young Master Qin Chen to actually be a jade appraiser, truly admirable. Ge Pu was stunned for a moment, then chuckled, a hint of astonishment flashing in his eyes. The other elders were also shocked. The precious jade in this ancestral shrine forbidden area were all left behind by the Ge family's ancestors and belonged to a very rare variety, rarely seen on the market. Moreover, after so many years of wind and rain, some of these jade stones have been covered up and lost their original appearance. Unexpectedly, Qin Chen recognized them all at once, which really surprised them. You must know that even they, when they first saw these jade stones, would not dare to say that they could completely recognize them. He originally thought that Qin Chen would be shocked by the scene in front of him, but he was surprised and then showed a look of disappointment. I thought it was something good, but it's just some ancient jade stones. Although these jade stones have some value, they are just ordinary. Master Ge, you wouldn't be thinking of using these things to pay off the debt, would you? PFFT. Hearing Qin Chen's words, the shock on the faces of the elders turned into extreme dissatisfaction, and they almost spat out a mouthful of old blood. Since you can recognize these jade stones, don't you know their value? Once they are brought to the market, I'm afraid the entire Northwest 5 nations will go crazy and flock here. Ordinary. What big words. How would they know that Qin Chen had seen all kinds of treasures in his previous life? In this life, although he wasn't arrogant, he was only interested in treasures that could enhance his strength. And these jade stones in front of him, although rare, did not improve his strength at all. Selling them was not even as convenient as directly using silver coins. Ge Pu was stunned for a moment, then laughed. Young Master Qin Chen is amazingly talented and has a good relationship with the Pill Pavilion and the Bloodline Sacred Ground. He has seen all kinds of treasures, so naturally he wouldn't care about these jade stones. However, the treasure that this old man is talking about is not these jade stones, but the true family treasure in the ancestral shrine, the soul concentrating jade. Soul concentrating jade. Qin Chen frowned. Recalling the power he felt from his soul, he couldn't help but be stunned. Could it be that the power he felt before was emitted by this soul concentrating jade? Ge Pu revealed a smug smile and said, I heard that young Master Qin Chen is also an alchemist, so naturally he knows the importance of spiritual power. This soul concentrating jade can condense a martial artist's spiritual power. Wearing it on the body all year round will subtly make the martial artist's spiritual power particularly solid. Young Master Qin Chen should also know that spiritual power is related to a martial artist's talent. Once the spiritual power is strong, it means that the martial artist's comprehension will also become stronger. If young Master Qin Chen obtains such a treasure, he will probably be able to advance to a second-grade alchemist in the future. I wonder if such a treasure can be worth 5 million silver coins. Ge Pu had a confident look on his face, but the other elders around him had very calm expressions. Master Ge is willing to hand over such a treasure. Qin Chen frowned, looking puzzled. Things like the soul concentrating jade are indeed priceless, not to mention in the Northwest 5 nations, even in the martial domain, they are quite rare. After all, spiritual power is too important. Bloodline masters, alchemists, weapon refiners, and alchemists almost all need strong spiritual power as a backing. Under innate conditions, if there are treasures that can improve spiritual power acquired, it will indeed attract countless people to snatch them, which can be said to be priceless. However, a guy like Ge Pu, who is reluctant to even take out 5 million silver coins, would actually send out this soul concentrating jade. Why would I be reluctant? Ge Pu smiled cunningly, pointed to the jade building in front of him, and said with a smile, however, this soul concentrating jade is located in my Ge family's ancestral shrine forbidden area. If you want to obtain it, you must first pass the assessment method set up by my Ge family's ancestors. Otherwise, even this old man has no right to take it. In the past hundreds of years, only 3 genius disciples of my Ge family have passed the assessment method, and each of them obtained a soul concentrating jade. In my generation, no disciple has succeeded yet. However, with young Master Qin Chen's talent, I don't think there will be any problems. 3 people. Qin Chen sneered. Your Excellency means that you want me to break through this assessment method. Once I pass, the soul concentrating jade I obtain will belong to me. If I don't pass, the debt will be written off. Hee, that's right. Using the soul concentrating jade to offset the 5 million silver coins, young Master Qin Chen won't suffer, right? Now, it depends on whether young Master Qin Chen has the ability and courage. The Ge family members were staring at him, and the atmosphere suddenly became quiet. Many of the elders had playful looks in their eyes, as if they were sure that Qin Chen would not pass. Ge Pu, on the other hand, looked as if he was sure that Qin Chen would agree. He was very clear about how attractive the soul concentrating jade was to alchemists. As long as they were alchemists, no one would be willing to refuse. Master Ge, since this assessment method is so difficult, I think I'll just forget about it. Under the watchful eyes of the public, Qin Chen said with a smile. Since you've agreed, then. Ge Pu smiled and started to speak, but after hearing the content clearly, he almost choked to death, his eyes widening. What? Forget about it. Yes. Qin Chen spread his hands helplessly. Since the difficulty is so high, after thinking about it, I still think it's more cost-effective to directly take 5 million silver coins. Moreover, Master Ge, look at the expressions of your Ge family elders. They all think that I won't pass. They are all Ge family elders, so they must be very clear about this assessment. Since they all think that I will definitely fail, then what am I agreeing to? If I fail, I will return empty-handed, which is a big loss. You. Looking at the elders behind him with stunned expressions, Ge Pu was so angry that he was about to vomit blood. Are these guys pigs? Can't they even act? Young Master Qin Chen, you're thinking too much. As far as this old man knows, the three geniuses in my Ge family's history who passed the assessment are not comparable to young Master Chen in terms of cultivation, Ge Pu said kindly. The other elders learned their lesson this time and nodded one after another. Let's just forget about it. Qin Chen shook his head, his expression firm. Once I fail, I'll have nothing, which is a big loss. I'm not greedy. I only need Master Ge to give me 5 million silver coins. As for the soul concentrating jade, it's better to leave it to your Ge family's genius. Ge Pu was almost driven crazy. After hesitating for a moment, he gritted his teeth and said, in that case, if young Master Chen agrees to participate in the assessment, regardless of whether he passes or not, I will give you 1 million silver coins. But if you don't agree, then I can't help it. My Ge family really can't come up with that much money. Moreover, for a peerless genius like young Master Chen, any improvement in strength has great significance and must not be missed. Even if the probability is very small, it is worth a try, isn't it? Ge Pu persuaded earnestly. He originally thought that Qin Chen would hesitate for a moment, but unexpectedly, after hearing this. Okay, I agree. Qin Chen nodded directly, straightforward and decisive. What? Ge Pu was stunned for a moment. The words of dissuasion that followed all stopped in his throat, his old face flushed red, feeling very uncomfortable. First, bring over the 1 million silver coins. Qin Chen smiled, extending his hand. Staring carefully into Qin Chen's eyes, Ge Pu suddenly realized that he had been tricked by this kid. This kid had probably already decided to agree. In his eagerness, he had fallen for it. In his frustration, he almost vomited blood. What's wrong? Are you going back on your word again? Qin Chen frowned, seeing Ge Pu's lack of action. Here, I'll give it. Taking out a stack of silver notes from his person, Ge Pu was pained to death. This damned kid is simply too shrewd. Hee hee. Then I'll go in. Are there any precautions? Qin Chen wanted to laugh. No. Just go straight in along this jadestone path. Ge Pu's expression was livid, his face as black as the bottom of a pot. Qin Chen nodded and immediately walked along the jadestone path towards the jadestone building. Buzz. An invisible force instantly permeated his body. Huh. Qin Chen was startled. He hadn't felt much before, but now, upon closer inspection, he discovered that there was a very subtle formation here. The jade stones scattered among the trees, including the jade stone path under his feet, were all part of this formation. However, this formation was not an attack formation, nor a defense formation or a maze formation, but a kind of large formation similar to nourishment. Moreover, the closer he got to the jade stone building, the stronger the power to nourish the soul became. Interesting. Qin Chen's heart stirred, and he stepped into the jade stone building. After Qin Chen's figure disappeared, several elders of the Ge family sneered. Ge's unsneered. This Qin Chen is too confident. Does he really think he can pass the assessment of my Ge family's ancestors? Hee hee. That assessment method, unless one is a member of my Ge family, it is impossible to pass. Even if Qin Chen's talent is high, he cannot obtain the soul-gathering jade. What an idiot. The group of people returned to their original expressions, their eyes full of contempt. Enough. You still have the face to talk. If you hadn't failed to hide it, I wouldn't even have had to take out that 1 million silver coins. Ge Pu couldn't help but roar in anger, his face turning black. These guys are too bad at concealing things, otherwise, how could he have been swindled out of 1 million silver coins? Alright, this guy should fail and come out soon. Everyone, restrain yourselves a bit and quickly send this person away for the best. Waving his hand, Ge Pu was dejected, his face full of sorrow. Their Ge family had never encountered such a thing, but facing a guy to whom even the bloodline sacred grounds President Dongfang King had to come to apologize, what could they do? On the other side, as Qin Chen stepped into the jade stone building, he immediately felt a chill, as if he had been doused with a basin of cold water. At the same time, his soul felt even more comfortable, as if he had come to a warm and moist place that could nurture the soul. This feeling, soul-gathering jade can only condense spiritual power, but I haven't heard of it having any nourishing effect on the soul. Could it be that this place possesses some treasure that can nourish soul power? Spiritual power is spiritual power, and soul power is soul power. These two are completely different. The martial artists of the Northwest 5 nations may not necessarily be clear, but Qin Chen understood it very well. Filled with doubt, Qin Chen continued to walk towards the interior. Soon, he arrived at the interior of the building, where a milky white light barrier appeared, blocking the way. Qin Chen observed it for a while and found that the layout here was very peculiar, with a sense of antiquity, as if it had gone through countless years. This jade quality. Touching the surface of the jade stone building, Qin Chen was slightly lost in thought. The aura emitted by this ancient jade did not seem like it was established hundreds of years ago, but rather like it had experienced endless years, at least tens of thousands of years. Moreover, under normal circumstances, cold heart jade would have a certain impact on a person's spirit, but now that Qin Chen was in the entire building constructed of cold heart jade, not only did he not feel uncomfortable at all, but he felt very refreshed. This is not cold heart jade, but soul freezing jade. His spiritual power slightly seeped into the building, and suddenly, Qin Chen widened his eyes and exclaimed in shock. Legend has it that in the far north, there is a kind of soul freezing jade that can carry souls. In ancient times, when some people were seriously injured and their lives were about to disappear, their relatives and friends would use soul-freezing jade to make jade coffins to stabilize their souls and then find ways to treat them. This kind of jade is very precious, and even in the martial domain, it is rarely seen. He didn't expect that in a small family in this remote area of the Northwest, there would be such a large piece. Hiss. Unable to help but gasp, Qin Chen was secretly shocked. Now he simply didn't believe that this jade stone building was established by the ancestors of the GE family hundreds of years ago. The other party simply didn't have this ability. It's a pity that this soul-freezing jade has been around for too long, and the soul-preserving substance in it has almost completely dissipated. No wonder I mistook it for cold heart jade. After carefully sensing the entire jade stone again, Qin Chen sighed and shook his head. Originally, if it were a brand new soul-freezing jade, even if it were taken to the martial domain, it would be priceless, but the energy substance in this soul-freezing jade has almost disappeared, and it is no longer of much value. Never mind, this should be the assessment that Ge Pu said. Let's go in and see what's going on. Stepping into the white halo, the entire white halo suddenly lit up with white rays of light. These rays of light poured into Qin Chen's body and instantly turned into threads, penetrating Qin Chen's body, seemingly probing something. Every time a thread penetrated Qin Chen's body, Qin Chen felt a slight resistance. And as he continued to enter, the resistance became greater and greater. The scene inside the jade stone building also became clearer and clearer. It seemed to be a high platform, and around the high platform, pieces of jade plaques were suspended, constantly flowing. That's soul-gathering jade. Qin Chen was taken aback when he saw the jade plaques suspended around him. These jade plaques were actually soul-gathering jade. And on the high platform, there seemed to be a jade plaque placed there. What kind of jade plaque it was, he couldn't see clearly. Just as Qin Chen was about to get closer to see it more clearly, suddenly, the light on the white halo seemed to sense something and shook violently, unexpectedly revealing countless red threads, turning into a strange formation that was about to repel Qin Chen. This is a bloodline array. Ge Pu, that bastard. Seeing this formation, Qin Chen couldn't help but curse. He finally understood why Ge Pu was willing to let him in. It turned out that this so-called assessment had bloodline restrictions. Only GE family disciples could possibly pass through this white light curtain. Otherwise, once someone entered it, even if their talent was high, they would be repelled because of their bloodline. And ordinary martial artists would not be able to see the origin of this formation at all, and would only think that their talent was not enough, so they failed to pass the assessment. He expected that Ge Pu was holding such calculations. Hey, that bastard Ge Pu, it's just his bad luck to run into me. Qin Chen sneered, not flustered at all. His hands quickly tapped several times on the formation lines. With a hum, an invisible force spread out, and the blood-colored threads instantly vanished completely. This formation is so crude. Now I'm starting to believe it was set up by the GE family ancestors. Qin Chen pushed forward with force, immediately spreading open the white light shield and entering inside. The verification formation on this white light shield is clearly not an ancient formation, but one inscribed within the last few hundred years. It must have been set up by the GE family ancestors. Entering the light shield, Qin Chen focused his gaze and found that in front of him was an area resembling an altar. Around the altar, 6 soul-condensing jades were suspended, and in the center of the altar, there was actually a black dragon-shaped treasure jade. This dragon-shaped treasure jade was extremely miraculous, as if it had a life of its own, constantly flowing. As it flowed, it seemed as if a life was flickering. Could this be the legendary Dragon Soul Jade? Qin Chen let out a gasp of surprise. The Dragon Soul Jade is a legend from ancient times. It is said to be produced in the nests of the dragon race, constantly immersed in the aura and blood of true dragons, absorbing the souls of true dragons, and forming a type of treasure jade. This kind of treasure jade can nourish a person's soul. Once refined, it can allow a martial artist's soul power to reach an unprecedented level, even condensing into a tangible form. You should know that in the early stages, martial artists can only cultivate spiritual power. Only after reaching the 7th stage do they begin to nourish their soul power. And to achieve the condensation of soul into a tangible form, even a martial emperor cannot do it. Only the legendary Saint Realm is said to be able to reach this point. But this Dragon Soul Jade is said to allow a person to achieve this in advance, which is simply abnormal. This rumor has circulated in the martial domain for countless years, but no one has ever truly obtained a Dragon Soul Jade. Now, this treasure jade in front of him, like a true dragon, emits a soul aura that makes people's hearts palpitate, and it also makes Qin Chen's soul feel incomparably comfortable. It is very similar to the Dragon Soul Jade in the legends. Thinking of this, Qin Chen couldn't help but feel his mouth dry and sweat break out on his palms. To surpass my previous life and defeat Shangguan Xie and Feng Xiaoyu, simply cultivating is far from enough. I must have some fortuitous encounters. If this dragon-shaped treasure jade is truly the Dragon Soul Jade, then I have already succeeded at least halfway in my goal of surpassing my previous life. Qin Chen felt excited just thinking about it. Soul power is too important for a strong person. Once the soul undergoes a transformation, whether it's in cultivation or in alchemy and artifact refining, he will be able to surpass his previous life. Amidst the shock, swish, sensing the vital energy, a suspended soul-condensing jade suddenly flew over and landed in Qin Chen's hand. A piece of information also entered Qin Chen's mind along with it. As expected, this mysterious building was not erected by the GE family ancestors. Hundreds of years ago, the GE family had an extremely powerful expert who possessed a natural jade body. This physique's sensitivity and ability to discern jade far surpassed ordinary people. Utilizing this physique, this GE family ancestor traveled through Great Lakes and mountains, engaged in the jade business, and established the vast GE family. At its peak, the GE family had a prominent reputation throughout the 5 northwestern nations, known as one of the top families in the 5 nations. Later, this GE family ancestor, during a training in the St. Luo secret realm, discovered this magical jade building and also found this piece of treasure jade resembling a true dragon. He wanted to obtain this treasure jade, but he found that there was a piece of ancient restriction around the altar. No matter how he tried, he couldn't break these restrictions. Therefore, he used a spatial treasure to bring this magical jade building back to the Great Qi Kingdom and placed it in the backyard of his mansion. For the next 10 years, he lived in seclusion in his mansion, not concerning himself with worldly affairs, with the goal of removing the restrictions and figuring out what this treasure jade was. It wasn't until he was about to die of old age that he regretfully discovered that in order to break this restriction, one had to be under 20 years old and have spiritual power above the 3rd stage. Finally, before his death, he set up this examination method and placed the nearly 10 soul-condensing jades he obtained around the jade building in the St. Luo secret realm outside this altar for future generations to be tested. Once someone passed the test, it meant they had the talent to cultivate spiritual power, and they would receive a soul-condensing jade. And as long as they cultivated their spiritual power to above the third stage before the age of 20 and entered this examination area again, they would be able to enter the area outside the altar and collect this dragon-shaped treasure jade. However, it was a pity that after so many years, although 3 disciples of the GE family passed the test and obtained the soul-condensing jade, not a single one of them broke through to the third stage or above before the age of 20. Instead, Qin Chen directly destroyed the examination formation set up by the GE family ancestor and broke into the area outside the altar. I didn't expect that the GE family once had someone with a natural jade body. If someone with this innate physique were born in the martial domain, it would not be impossible for them to become a martial emperor in the future. It's just a pity that in this remote area of the 5 northwestern nations, their achievements were extremely limited. Shaking his head, Qin Chen raised his hand to collect the remaining 5 soul-condensing jades. Buzz! The 5 soul-condensing jades released a force of resistance, and at the same time, a formation faintly appeared. Hey hey! Break! With a light shout, Qin Chen's hands quickly moved, and his spiritual power swept out, immediately scattering the formation into pieces. The remaining 5 soul-condensing jades fell into Qin Chen's hands one after another. Only then did Qin Chen carefully observe the altar. As expected, there was a mysterious restriction around the altar, and the dragon soul jade was located within this restriction. What shocked Qin Chen even more was that this restriction was very familiar, and it had the same effect as the many true talismans he had obtained from Qin Feng. It seems that the true talismans on Qin Feng might have been obtained from the St. Luo secret realm in the Demon Ancestor mountain range. Qin Chen couldn't help but ponder. The mysterious rusty sword on his body, as well as this jade building, were both discovered in the St. Luo secret realm. What kind of secret realm was the St. Luo secret realm? Normally, in a remote place like the Northwest, it is simply impossible for a high-level secret realm to appear, but from various clues, it can be seen that this St. Luo secret realm is definitely not ordinary. Moreover, he originally thought that this dragon's soul jade was naturally formed, but now that he knows its origin, and based on the description of the GE family ancestor and the restriction on the altar, this dragon's soul jade is very likely to have been intentionally left here by some powerful expert. But he couldn't imagine who would obtain such a treasure as the black dragon-shaped jade pendant, if it were truly the legendary dragon's soul jade, and not absorb it themselves, but instead place it here, setting up a restriction for others to break. Many thoughts flashed through Qin Chen's mind, and then he gritted his teeth. Regardless of what this dragon-shaped treasure jade is, since he has seen it, he naturally won't miss it. He immediately focused his mind and began to decipher the restriction on it. When Qin Chen carefully observed the restrictions on the altar, he was immediately shocked. The restrictions on it were very obscure, obviously belonging to the ancient period. At first glance, it gave him a feeling of dizziness. What terrifying restrictions! Qin Chen thought to himself, as he released his mental power and carefully observed. In his previous life, Qin Chen was a grandmaster of formations. He also had amazing attainments in restrictions. In addition, the 9-star Divine Emperor art he cultivated in this life made his true energy sensitivity surpass his previous life, and his understanding of restrictions was even stronger. This was also the reason why he was able to break many true talisman restrictions on Qin Feng's body when his cultivation was insufficient before. While Qin Chen was deciphering the restrictions, outside the Jade Stone building, Ge Pu and others were still waiting. Patriarch, Qin Chen has been inside for almost half an incense stick. According to reason, the assessment should have failed. Why hasn't he come out yet? Yes, Qin Chen doesn't have the bloodline of our GE family. Normally speaking, he should have been eliminated soon. Why hasn't he been seen until now? Could this child really pass the ancestors' assessment? Seeing that Qin Chen hadn't come out after half an incense stick, several elders couldn't sit still. Don't worry, Ge Pu sneered. This place is the forbidden area of our GE family's ancestral shrine. Even if Qin Chen is a genius, he can't possibly pass the ancestors' assessment. The reason why he doesn't come out is either because the assessment has just begun, or he has already failed the assessment and is unwilling to leave, wanting to take something to make up for his losses. However, The jade stone building in the forbidden area of my GE family's ancestral shrine is a hole. Even if Qin Chen racks his brains and uses all means, he can't possibly pry off a piece of jade stone. Moreover, the assessment formation set up by the ancestors will counterattack if it finds someone who is not from our clan entering the assessment, causing subtle harm to the examinee. Qin Chen will definitely pay the price for this. Speaking of this, a sinister smile appeared on Ge Pu's face. Wanting to blackmail his GE family was not that easy. At this time, outside the royal capital of the Great Qi Kingdom, a group of several people had already arrived outside the city gate. Master, this is the royal capital. One of them said respectfully to the leading old man. Royal capital, royal capital. The old man's beard and hair were grey, and his face was covered with wrinkles, but his eyes flickered with a sharp light, with an unspeakable domineering and strong aura. He chuckled twice, muttering to himself, with an unspeakable meaning in his eyes. Behind him were several middle-aged men, each with an extraordinary aura. Just standing there gave a feeling of stability like a mountain, making people look up to them. Obviously, they were all extremely top experts. Let's go. This group of several people swaggered towards the passage in the middle of the royal capital's city gate. Who are you? Stop and accept the inspection. Several city guards who were checking the team frowned and immediately stepped forward. Get out of the way. A servant, like a steward, frowned when he saw someone coming up and immediately shouted coldly. Bold, do you know what place this is? You still don't accept the inspection. Several city guards were furious. This was the royal capital of the Great Qi Kingdom, the political center of the Great Qi Kingdom. Although these city guards, had humble status, they guarded the national gate of the royal capital and could be said to wield great power. Usually, high-ranking officials from other places would also obediently accept the inspection. Unexpectedly, these people were so bold, it was simply lawless. Humph. Seeing the city guards' arrogant attitude, brandishing their weapons and about to come up, a middle-aged man behind the old man snorted coldly. A sharp light burst out from his eyes, and immediately an amazing pressure, like a mountain, was heavily suppressed on these city guards. These city guards only felt a sinking feeling under their feet, their legs as if stuck in cement, unable to move an inch, and their whole bodies were so uncomfortable that they could hardly breathe. Who is it? Dare to make trouble at the city gate? The commotion here also attracted the attention of other city guards not far away, and they rushed over. Swish. The man who resembled a steward raised his hand, and immediately showed a token. The leading city guard captain's face turned pale when he saw it, and cold sweat broke out on his back. Let them pass. He hurriedly waved his hand and immediately stepped aside. Other city guards had no choice but to step aside as well, lowering their heads in fear. The person who could make their captain so fearful must be a prominent figure in the Great Qi Kingdom, and these city guards, definitely couldn't afford to offend him. After the other party left, one of the city guards mustered up his courage and asked in a low voice, Captain, who was that person just now? Someone from the Zhao family of Lingnan. The Zhao family of Lingnan. The surrounding city guards were stunned, and they were all horrified. Lingnan was one of the wealthiest prefectures in the Great Qi Kingdom, and the Zhao family of Lingnan was rumored to have ancestors who were also relatives of the imperial family, who were later assigned to the land of Lingnan and named the King of Lingnan. This has been in power for hundreds of years. It is said that in Lingnan, the people only know the King of Lingnan, but do not know the current emperor. Later, the Zhao family's royal bloodline gradually thinned, and the royal family took back the title of King of Lingnan and sent successive high-ranking officials to take charge. However, no matter how capable those high-ranking officials were, Lingnan was still firmly controlled by the Zhao family of Lingnan. This Zhao family of Lingnan does not openly confront the imperial authority, and obeys all the imperial family's requests, but secretly controls most of the things in Lingnan. They are local emperors. Moreover, their position in the court is also very deep, and they have also formed a marriage alliance with the Qin family of Dingwu, king of the Great Qi Kingdom. Once they offend the other party, it can be said that these city guards, will be dismissed in minutes, like ants. Captain, what do you say the Zhao family of Lingnan is here in the royal capital for? A city guard asked with a puzzled look. The Zhao family of Lingnan is so huge that it will definitely be feared by the royal family. Therefore, although the Zhao family of Lingnan also has branches in the royal capital, few big figures come here. But now, so many experts from the Zhao family of Lingnan have come all at once, which is unusual. The Zhao family. Could it be because of the Qin family's matter? Suddenly, another city guard seemed to have thought of something and couldn't help but exclaim. The marriage between the Zhao family of Lingnan and the Qin family is almost known to everyone in the royal capital. 20 years ago, it also caused a huge sensation in the royal capital. Now that people from the Zhao family are here, these city guards immediately associated it with the Qin family. The two sons of the Zhao matriarch of the Qin family, one was crippled and the other had a severed arm. The Zhao family of Lingnan, as the maternal family, is here to find trouble. Taking a breath of cold air, everyone showed horror. What are you guessing? Don't you give me a good guard duty? The city guard captain's face sank, his expression displeased. But his eyes were also extremely solemn. In any case, the Zhao family of Lingnan is a giant in the Great Qi Kingdom. This kind of thing must be reported to the superiors and then notified to the current emperor. It must not be neglected. Watch the guard duty for me. I'll be right back. Immediately, the city guard captain quickened his pace and went to report. As the Zhao family of Lingnan entered the king's capital, at a location hundreds of miles away from the king's capital, several imposing experts were coldly staring at the Great Qi King's capital in the distance, their faces filled with indifference. These individuals were dressed in uniform attire, exuding extraordinary auras. Standing proudly, they seemed capable of piercing the sky, even more formidable than the Zhao family members from before. Sect Master, the Great Qi King's capital is just ahead. One of the elders respectfully bowed to the middle-aged man leading the group. It was none other than Ling Jung, the elder of the Ghost Immortal sect from the Demon Ancestor mountain range. Elder Ling Jung, was my son truly killed by Qin Feng, a disciple of this Great Qi Kingdom? Narrowing his eyes, the middle-aged man leading the group wore a cold expression, his face so gloomy it seemed as if water could drip from it. His face was long and narrow, extremely dark. At first glance, he gave off a fierce and malevolent aura, sending chills down one's spine. Returning to Sect Master, it's basically correct. Even if it wasn't Qin Feng of the Great Qi Kingdom who killed him, it was Qin Chen of the Great Qi Kingdom. In short, the murderer is among these two people. Elder Ling Jung lowered his head and said nervously. Coldly glancing at Ling Jung, the middle-aged man's face was indifferent, his tone emitting a chilling aura. Once this matter is concluded, after avenging my son, Elder Ling Jung, you will be confined in the Myriad Ghost Cave for a month. Whether you live or die will depend on your own fate. Thump. Elder Ling Jung hurriedly knelt down, his face filled with fear. Yes, Sect Master. This subordinate knows that I deserve to die 10,000 times over. I am endlessly grateful for the Sect Master's magnanimity in not killing me. His heart, however, was filled with bitterness. The Myriad Ghost Cave was the Ghost Immortal sect's most terrifying forbidden area. Once inside, one would have to endure the pain of 10,000 ghosts devouring the heart, and very few could survive a month without dying. But even so, it was still better than being cruelly killed by the Sect Master. Sect Master, you said that this time we are causing trouble in the Great Qi King's capital. Will Zhao Gao of the Great Qi Kingdom really turn a blind eye? HMPH. Rest assured. Nian Shuo coldly smiled. I understand Zhao Gao very well. I believe he won't risk tearing apart relations with my Ghost Immortal sect for the sake of a mere disciple. Otherwise, how can his Great Qi Kingdom stand firm in this northwest region with enemies on all sides? Elder Li Yang, even if the Great Qi Kingdom truly wants to be our enemy, then let them make a move. We have made preparations for this trip and are not afraid of Zhao Gao taking action. That's right. The Qin family disciple of the Great Qi Kingdom dared to kill the young master of my Ghost Immortal sect. This matter must not be allowed to rest. We must have blood for blood. Otherwise, everyone will think that my Ghost Immortal sect is easy to bully. No matter who killed the young master, this time, they will definitely die. The other Ghost Immortal sect elders all coldly growled, their faces filled with shy. Go. Immediately, This group of experts soared into the sky, rapidly heading towards the capital of the Great Qi Kingdom. Inside the forbidden area of the GE family ancestral shrine, Qin Chen was busily studying the restriction in front of him. The restriction on it was extremely obscure and difficult. The more he studied it, the more he felt like he was entering a vast maze, unable to find a way out, with almost no clue at all. In fact, the function of this restriction was to screen talented martial artists under the age of 20 with spiritual power above the third rank. According to Qin Chen's conditions, he could completely pass the restriction assessment without having to crack such a complex restriction. However, as a 9th rank formation master in his previous life, Qin Chen would naturally have a desire to thoroughly understand such a restriction. He had never seen this kind of restriction in his previous life. Once he understood it, it would not only be cracking a restriction, but also greatly improve his cultivation in restrictions and formations. However, this restriction was very strange. No matter how Qin Chen analyzed it, he could not sort out his thoughts. This restriction is too strange, completely different from normal restrictions. It should belong to another school, and its rank is also very high. Who set it up? The more Qin Chen studied, the more shocked he felt. The restriction in front of him was very ordinary. Although it was obscure, it was actually not large in scale, but it gave him a feeling of boundlessness. This was definitely not something that a 9th rank restriction could do. Could it be that this restriction is the legendary saint-level restriction? Taking a deep breath, Qin Chen's expression became more solemn. If the restriction in front of him was really a saint-level restriction that surpassed the 9th rank, then how terrifying would the dragon-shaped jade stone sealed within it be? No. If I continue to study like this, I may not be able to figure out the structure of this restriction even after 10 years. I must analyze it from another angle. Taking a deep breath, Qin Chen's mind became clear. Any restriction, if it wants to maintain its operation, needs a source of energy, just like a formation. I can start from this aspect. After pondering for a moment, Qin Chen looked for an entry point and continued to study. Although his spiritual power was far from what it was in his previous life, the 9-star god emperor art Zhenqi he cultivated in this life was more pure than the Zhenqi in his previous life, and its penetration into any formation or restriction was also more complete. Sure enough, after some research, Qin Chen found an entry point. The complex and obscure restriction in front of him gradually dissipated the fog, like peeling silk from a cocoon, layer by layer, it was gradually unraveled by him. So that's how it is. Half an hour later, Qin Chen finally saw through the main structure of this restriction, and couldn't help but take a deep breath. The restriction in front of him actually only had a few dozen restriction patterns, which were very simple and unadorned, but they had a feeling of great simplicity, interweaving countless changes to form a huge and complex restriction. This is the real restriction, this is the real Great Tao. Breathing rapidly, Qin Chen's face flushed. In his previous life, as a 9th rank formation master, all restrictions were almost without secrets in front of him, as if he had reached the end of a road and didn't know how to go on. But now, it was as if a light flashed in his mind, dispelling the darkness, and a brand new door opened before his eyes, revealing a path leading to a higher place. This trip to the GE family, even if there were no other gains, just the insights into this restriction would be enough for Qin Chen to undergo a transformation and gain a huge harvest. Why hasn't Qin Chen come out yet? What is he doing inside? Could it be that he didn't get the treasure and is so angry that he doesn't want to come out and is sleeping inside? Seeing that Qin Chen had not come out of the forbidden area for a long time, many elders of the GE family outside were anxiously frowning. But they couldn't go in. Back then, the ancestors of the GE family were afraid that the disciples participating in the assessment inside would be disturbed, so they set up such a formation, which required the previous person to come out before others could enter again. Otherwise, someone would have rushed in a long time ago. Is Qin Chen planning to live in there? The elders of the GE family looked at each other, speechless, and anxious like ants on a hot pot. Buzz. At this time, Qin Chen finally broke the restriction. As soon as he entered the altar, the leaping dragon-shaped jade suddenly seemed to have life, and instantly fell into Qin Chen's hands. A strong force of soul nourishment came. Let's see if this jade is really a dragon soul jade. With a thought, Qin Chen immediately ran his spiritual power and penetrated into the true dragon jade to investigate. Buzz. As soon as his mental power entered the true dragon jade, Qin Chen immediately felt a powerful soul force emanating from the jade pendant. This soul force was incomparably pure, like an unpolluted ocean, making Qin Chen's soul feel incomparably comfortable, luxuriating within it. At the same time, strands of soul force were actually strengthening Qin Chen's soul little by little. Hiss. What kind of jade is this? Qin Chen was shocked. Could it be the legendary dragon soul jade, capable of subtly enhancing his soul force? The dragon soul jade only existed in legends, so even after obtaining such a treasure, Qin Chen still couldn't discern whether it was truly the dragon soul jade. He could only make some guesses based on its attributes. Instinctively, Qin Chen's soul force began to absorb the soul power in the jade pendant greedily, like a person who had been starving for countless days, seeing a table full of delicacies, feeling a strong temptation. No. Before figuring out the origin of this jade pendant, it's better to study it first. Forcibly suppressing the temptation, Qin Chen stopped absorbing the soul force, about to withdraw his soul force. But at this moment, a strong sense of crisis suddenly surged into Qin Chen's mind, as if his entire being was placed in a cold, icy wasteland, being stared at by a prehistoric beast, his entire body breaking out in goosebumps. Not good. Although he didn't know what had happened, Qin Chen's reaction was extremely fast. His pupils suddenly contracted, and he subconsciously wanted to throw away the true dragon jade pendant in his hand. But at that moment, the true dragon jade pendant buzzed and burned, turning into a formless black soul flame, and with a whoosh, it rushed towards Qin Chen's brow. Damn it! Qin Chen was shocked, his face ashen. The dragon-shaped jade pendant in front of him, where was it a jade pendant? It had transformed into a formless phantom, emitting a palpitating aura. Heavenly derivation art. Heaven and earth seal. The mental power in his mind suddenly surged, and obscure mental runes suddenly appeared around Qin Chen, like snowflakes in the sky, gathering in his right hand, spinning wildly. These mental runes, in their rotation, transformed into a circular grand formation, each rune like a chain, constantly rotating, containing the aura of the great Tao, instantly blocking in front of the black aura. Buzz. But it was useless. The black aura, like a wisp of ethereal flame, continued to leap, and with a slight tremor, the mental runes displayed by Qin Chen constantly shattered, the entire formation teetering, seemingly about to collapse at any moment. What the hell is this thing? Qin Chen was horrified. Even with 2 lifetimes of experience, he had never seen such a bizarre situation. Clearly, it was a mysterious ancient jade, but it had instantly transformed into a strange, ethereal flame, wanting to enter his mind. Even if Qin Chen was stupid, he knew that this thing was definitely not ordinary. Once it entered his mind, it would definitely be more ominous than auspicious. Not to mention anything else, just the strong sense of crisis made his hair stand on end, as if he had fallen into an ice cellar. His pupils suddenly shrank, and a sharp glint flashed in Qin Chen's eyes. He couldn't bother to hide his clumsiness, and frantically pointed a finger down. Chi. A terrifying aura swept out from his finger, striking the black, ethereal soul flame. God-slaying finger. He roared, and Qin Chen unleashed his mental power without regard for his life. This god-slaying finger was a secret technique he cultivated in his previous life, using true energy as a guide and mental power as the main force, to suppress and kill all illusory things. Poof! The black soul flame was struck, as if it had suffered a violent impact, instantly splitting apart, and a strong mental attack instantly penetrated through. At the same time, Qin Chen didn't dare to be careless, his hand movements didn't stop, constantly forming hand seals. Countless mental runes glowed, and the entire grand formation shone brightly, fiercely suppressing the scattered soul flame. The dispersed black soul flame trembled constantly, seemingly unable to resist the mental grand formation unleashed by Qin Chen. Is it suppressed? Qin Chen's expression was solemn, but before he could breathe a sigh of relief, his face suddenly changed drastically. Not good. Boom. The exploded black soul flame actually glowed simultaneously, and then quickly merged together, releasing a strong mental fluctuation, instantly shattering the mental grand formation set up by Qin Chen, and then like a shooting star, instantly submerged into Qin Chen's brow. Poochie. The black streamer disappeared into Qin Chen's brow. Qin Chen's face was filled with shock and anger, and his eyes, which were originally flashing with a fierce light, suddenly dimmed, losing their luster, as if he had become a vegetable. Boom. At this time, within Qin Chen's mind, a black streamer frantically eroded towards Qin Chen's mind. The speed was simply astonishing. A strong soul aura rampaged. The target was directly at Qin Chen's sea of soul. He. After guarding for countless years, I finally found a body that is still acceptable. It really is God's grace. The black soul flame transformed into a hideous ghost face, sneering, and in an instant, it arrived above Qin Chen's sea of soul. The strong soul aura suppressed Qin Chen's sea of soul, causing it to constantly tremble and fluctuate, shivering. This is actually the soul of some powerhouse, hidden in that dragon-shaped jade pendant, always looking for someone to seize the body. Qin Chen was so depressed that he was about to vomit blood. This kind of good thing he could actually encounter, was his luck too good? Who exactly are you? Qin Chen shouted coldly, hurriedly mobilizing his mental power, and at the same time, a powerful bloodline force was stimulated by him. Under the impact of this seat's soul, you haven't lost your will. The black soul phantom let out a surprised, and then stared at Qin Chen's sea of soul, unable to help but be overjoyed. Unbelievable, just a small heavenly level expert. His sea of soul is actually so strong. Ha. It really is God helping me, making my tens of thousands of years of waiting not in vain. Qin Chen's soul, in fact, is the fusion of this life and the previous life's souls. In his previous life, Qin Chen was already an 8th level martial emperor, an 8th level bloodline imperial master. His soul force was strong enough to surpass ordinary martial emperors. After rebirth, his 2 lifetimes of souls fused, although his cultivation base was not high, but in terms of soul strength alone, it was even stronger than in his previous life. How could this ancient soul not be pleasantly surprised? It had waited so many years, just to find a good body to seize. The stronger the other party's soul force, the more nourishment it would receive after seizing, and the faster its cultivation base would naturally improve. Boom. Ignoring Qin Chen's words, the black soul phantom directly rushed towards the depths of Qin Chen's sea of soul. Want to seize my body? Not that easy. Qin Chen issued a silent roar in his mind. His sea of soul instantly rioted, the soul aura comparable to a martial emperor, transformed into a violent impact, slamming hard towards the black soul phantom. He had finally been reborn. How could he be seized by this inexplicable thing? Hey, little guy, don't resist. Although your soul power is decent, you don't know how to use it. You think you can fight against me? Don't worry, I will take good care of your body after I seize it. GGG. Facing Qin Chen's resistance, the black soul phantom was not afraid at all, but instead grinned, his tone filled with mockery, as he instantly collided with Qin Chen's soul. Boom. The 2 forces collided, unexpectedly evenly matched. The black soul phantom actually failed to break through Qin Chen's soul defense. What? You can actually withstand my soul attack? How is that possible? The black soul phantom was greatly shocked. Qin Chen's soul power was strong, but he didn't take it seriously. In his opinion, a soul without soul techniques, no matter how strong, was like a defenseless piece of fat, only fit to be slaughtered. Hey, interesting, very interesting. After the shock, the black soul phantom was overjoyed. The stronger Qin Chen's strength, the more excited he became. After all, his purpose was to seize Qin Chen's body. The stronger the host's strength and the higher his talent, the faster he would cultivate in the future. Boom. The black soul phantom shone brightly, and once again rushed towards Qin Chen. This time, the opponent's soul impact was even stronger. Before even touching Qin Chen's sea of consciousness, there was a feeling of being unable to resist. Forbidden soul derivation art. With a loud shout, Qin Chen didn't dare to be careless. His soul power surged, forming a void defense shield. At the same time, streams of soul power transformed into attacks, sweeping towards the Black Soul Phantom. In his previous life, Qin Chen, with the cultivation of an 8th-level martial emperor, had soul power comparable to a 9 heavens martial emperor. Naturally, he had cultivated some soul secret techniques. At this moment, he no longer cared about hiding his abilities and unleashed them with all his might. GGG, it's actually a soul cultivation technique, truly a surprise to me. The Black Soul Phantom laughed strangely upon seeing this, without a trace of nervousness. Unfortunately, it's useless. The soul technique you cultivate is too crude, how can it stop me? The Black Soul Phantom charged straight ahead, blasting away all the soul attacks Qin Chen unleashed, and then heavily crashed into the defense shield above Qin Chen's sea of consciousness. Poof! The defense shield trembled continuously, as if a stone had fallen into the water, instantly stirring up countless ripples, the entire soul defense teetering. Not good. Desperately mobilizing his soul power to resist, Qin Chen tried to block the opponent's attack, but it was useless. The Black Soul Phantom was too strong. The soul secret techniques he cultivated were simply unable to form an effective interception. Boom! Finally, the shield above Qin Chen's sea of consciousness shattered suddenly, completely exposing him to the opponent. GGG, boy, I told you, it's useless. Instead of resisting, you might as well enjoy it, ga 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 ga. The Black Soul Phantom let out a strange laugh, and was about to plunge into Qin Chen's sea of consciousness. Qin Chen was shocked. Within the sea of consciousness was where his soul resided. Once the sea of consciousness was lost, he would inevitably be seized by the opponent, thus losing his will and becoming a walking corpse. How can this be? Heaven gave me a chance to live again, how can I be so easily seized by this monster? Qin Chen's eyes were about to split, and he roared silently in his heart. Thunder bloodline. His eyes turned cold, and he suddenly activated his bloodline power. Boom! In an instant, a mysterious power suddenly surged within Qin Chen's body. Above the sea of consciousness, countless lightning bolts suddenly filled the air. The lightning traveled like silver snakes, sweeping towards the Black Soul Phantom. GGG, it's actually the power of the Thunder bloodline. Bloodline power and soul power are two different attributes. To use bloodline power to stop my seizure, how ridiculous. The Black Soul Phantom saw the countless lightning lights surging, without the slightest panic, but instead revealed a mocking laugh. But the next moment, his smile disappeared in an instant, and a look of horror appeared on his illusory face. Sizzle sizzle sizzle. A large amount of lightning traveled, and after coming into contact with it, it was actually eroding its soul power. What? Impossible. What kind of ghost power is this? The Black Soul Phantom screamed as if it had seen a ghost. Boom! Endless lightning enveloped it, and sizzling sounds continued to ring out from its body, as if it was enduring the torment of lightning. At the same time, the soul power on its body was also slowly disappearing under the burning of the lightning. A rich soul aura flowed back into Qin Chen's sea of consciousness, causing the previously slightly damaged sea of consciousness to be immediately repaired, and even his soul power was slightly improved. It really works. Qin Chen was overjoyed. This Thunder bloodline had previously shown the characteristic of nourishing the soul. Qin Chen didn't know whether the Thunder bloodline could cause damage to the opponent, but at this time, he could only treat a dead horse as if it were still alive, and instinctively display it. Unexpectedly, the effect was surprisingly good. Under the surprise, Qin Chen frantically urged his bloodline power. A large amount of lightning intertwined above the sea of consciousness, as if turning into a sea of thunder. Countless lightning lights flickered crazily, enveloping the Black Soul Phantom. The Black Soul Phantom was first shocked, but soon calmed down. Because it discovered that although Qin Chen's bloodline power could cause damage to it, because Qin Chen's bloodline power was too low in grade, it could only bring it some shallow damage, and could not cause great damage. Damn it! It turns out it's just a low-level bloodline power, scared me to death. Immediately, a strange and hideous smile appeared on his face again, extremely excited. GGG, this body is too good. Not only is the soul strength good, but it also has such a magical bloodline power. Once I seize it, all these things will be mine. Above the sea of consciousness, the Black Soul Phantom's face was ferocious, and it once again swept towards the depths of Qin Chen's soul sea. Although it was blocked by the Thunder bloodline and soul power, it was still approaching the source of Qin Chen's soul sea. Qin Chen's heart sank suddenly, extremely anxious. He also realized that his bloodline power was not strong enough. Although it could cause damage to the opponent, it still could not stop the opponent's invasion. What to do? Qin Chen was very clear that if he continued like this, he would inevitably be seized by this strange Black Soul Phantom. But at this moment, Qin Chen had exhausted all means. The soul is a forbidden place for a martial artist. Not to mention him, a small heavenly grade martial artist, even a 9 heavens martial emperor would hardly have any better way. Boom. In the end, he could only watch helplessly as the Black Soul Phantom sank into his sea of consciousness and entered the origin of his soul. GGG, I am finally about to succeed in seizing the body, tens of thousands of years of waiting, it's really exciting. Amidst the excited laughter, the Black Soul Phantom finally completely sank into the origin of Qin Chen's soul. Qin Chen felt as if he had sunk into endless darkness. The consciousness in his mind was disappearing bit by bit. Ahead, the light gradually dissipated, sinking into darkness, as if into deathly stillness. Am I going to be taken over like this? And Qin Chen tasted bitterness. At this moment, a large number of scenes flashed through his mind. Especially in his previous life, the image of Feng Xiaoyu and Shangguan Xie leaning together, stabbing him with that sword. The deep blood feud remains unavenged, and there are still so many things to be done. How can I fall in this place? I am not willing. A silent roar echoed in Qin Chen's Sea of Souls. It seemed to contain infinite will. Boom. The Sea of Souls stirred, resisting fiercely. GGG, little guy, it's useless. To be able to become this seat's furnace is your honor. And an icy cold voice sounded, like a demon. This seat has been parasitic in the dragon soul jade for tens of thousands of years, and has finally waited for one that meets the conditions. Stop resisting, and obediently become this seat's nourishment. GG, GGG. A strange laugh rang out, containing endless charm. No. Even if I die, I won't let you succeed. At this moment, Qin Chen instead let go. Rather than being taken over by this inexplicable monster, he would rather die. The Sea of Souls fluctuated violently. You want to explode your soul. You're thinking too much. And the Black Soul Phantom grinned, not giving Qin Chen a chance at all. He circulated a mysterious soul technique, instantly suppressing the violently boiling Sea of Souls. Is it really impossible to turn things around? And Qin Chen sighed faintly in his heart. He didn't know what this Black Soul Phantom was, but although it was only a wisp of soul aura, it was terrifyingly strong. In front of it, it seemed that no matter how he resisted, it would be futile. Powerlessness, a deep sense of powerlessness. But this kind of powerlessness instead aroused the resolute side of Qin Chen's heart. I don't believe it. I, Qin Chen, dominated the martial domain in my previous life, and was betrayed by treacherous people. In this life, I will die at the hands of you things. And I don't believe it. Silently roaring, Qin Chen once again desperately resisted, his soul struggling violently. The Black Soul Phantom was extremely speechless. It was the first time it had seen such a resolute person in this world, who was still resisting even though he was powerless to resist. HMPH. Then this seat will completely destroy your will. With a cold shout, the black light on the Black Soul Phantom flourished, suddenly emitting a violent impact, wanting to completely scatter the consciousness in Qin Chen's soul origin. Just at this critical moment and M-. Buzz. In Qin Chen's mind, a sudden burst of light appeared. That mysterious ancient book suddenly appeared in Qin Chen's mind, with strange characters floating on it, emitting brilliant white light. What the hell is this? And the Black Soul Phantom was shocked and hurriedly looked up, only to see the mysterious ancient book above the Sea of Souls emitting brilliant light. The light sprinkled down, instantly causing intense pain all over its body. Chi. A large amount of soul power was burned away, and the soul power on the Black Soul Phantom, like snow under the sun, rapidly melted. The pain caused it to scream uncontrollably, its heart filled with fear. What the hell is this? Why is it like this? And it had never seen a book appear in a human's mind, and moreover, that book would be so terrifying. Give me death. And it angrily resisted, and streaks of black light bloomed on the phantom, trying to resist the ancient book's light from invading. But it was useless. Under the white light blooming from the ancient book, no matter how it resisted, the soul power on its body was constantly decreasing. And this soul power did not dissipate into the heavens and earth, but instead turned into a pure soul force, merging into Qin Chen's sea of souls. What comfortable soul power, what a powerful feeling. Qin Chen immediately felt that his soul power was increasing at an alarming rate. In a short moment, he had replenished the consumption of resisting the black soul phantom, and moreover, his soul power was still constantly increasing, with an impulse to condense into form. Is this soul gathering and formation? Could it be that the legendary dragon's soul jade is real? And it is said that after the soul is cultivated to the extreme, it can be transformed into a solid form and exist apart from the body. But this has always been just a legend, because to achieve soul gathering and formation, at least a Saint Realm powerhouse in the legend would have such a possibility. Anyway, in the martial emperor realm, Qin Chen had never heard of any martial emperor powerhouse in the martial domain who could achieve soul gathering and formation, let alone soul gathering and formation. Even condensing the soul into a fixed shape was impossible. But, according to legend, the dragon's soul jade has such a function. And the black soul phantom said before that it had been parasitic in the dragon's soul jade for tens of thousands of years, which shows that the true dragon precious jade before was indeed the dragon's soul jade. Get out of here. And, not caring to think too much, after his soul grew stronger, Qin Chen let out a low roar and suddenly urged his soul origin. PFFT. The black soul phantom, which had originally been about to occupy Qin Chen's soul origin, was squeezed out all at once, returning to the sky above the sea of souls. Ah! A shrill scream rang out. Losing the protection of the sea of souls, the black soul phantom was directly irradiated by the ancient book on its body, emitting bursts of blue smoke and constantly weakening. How could this be? And it frantically shouted, unable to understand how such a strange scene could have occurred just before success, when it was clearly about to succeed. What the hell is this? How could there be something in this world that could hurt this seat? And with a scream, the black soul phantom could no longer resist, and even shot out of Qin Chen's body. Now, it no longer held the hope of taking over Qin Chen, and only wanted to escape Qin Chen's body. Then it turned into a black streamer and swept out of the Jade building. Damn brat, you wait. One day, this seat will take you over and make you this seat's shell. And a ferocious soul fluctuation resounded in Qin Chen's mind, carrying boundless curses and resentment from the black soul phantom. Qin Chen's heart sank. Being targeted by such a terrifying guy, even if he was strong, he was still apprehensive. If possible, Qin Chen wanted to annihilate this black soul phantom now to eliminate future troubles, but he simply couldn't do it. Just as the black soul phantom was about to leave, suddenly, the mysterious rusty sword in the storage ring suddenly heated up. This is. And instinctively, Qin Chen held the mysterious rusty sword in his hand. Buzz. The mysterious rusty sword shone brightly, suddenly producing a mysterious suction force, turning into a vortex, instantly enveloping the black soul phantom. What the hell is this again? And the black soul phantom was shocked, struggling violently, and let out a terrified voice, trying to escape the attraction of the mysterious rusty sword. But it was useless. In the previous confrontation with Qin Chen, its soul aura had already been greatly damaged, leaving only about half of its peak strength, and it was instantly sucked into the sword body by the mysterious rusty sword. After absorbing the black soul shadow, the mysterious rusty sword became dim again, and the sword body was no longer hot, restoring its original simple luster. What happened? And Qin Chen was dumbfounded, completely stunned. Although he didn't know what happened, Qin Chen understood that this black soul shadow should have been absorbed into the sword by this mysterious rusty sword and failed to escape. Moreover, at this time, Qin Chen had no time to pay attention to these things. After the black soul shadow disappeared, the mysterious ancient book seemed to have lost its target and instantly dimmed, and then disappeared. A large amount of pure soul power, like a tide, fed back into Qin Chen's soul sea. Qin Chen could clearly feel that his soul sea was undergoing a violent transformation at this time, and this transformation was not only in quantity but also in quality. A large amount of soul power feedback made Qin Chen have no time to pay attention to other things, and could only continue to absorb. I don't know how long it took. Qin Chen finally absorbed all the soul power. This isn't. In his soul sea, the original soul source had disappeared, replaced by a human-shaped soul body, sitting there quietly. Gathering the soul into shape, I actually succeeded. And, muttering to himself, Qin Chen's eyes were full of disbelief. Buzz. An invisible soul force swept out, and Qin Chen clearly felt Ge Pu and the others outside. Because they had been waiting for too long, they were all drowsy and listless, and they were about to fall asleep. After Qin Chen's soul force swept over them, they didn't react at all and didn't notice anything. What a terrifying soul force! And Qin Chen was overjoyed. Soul force is a deeper level of power, much more mysterious than mental power. Below the 7th rank, one doesn't even have the qualifications to cultivate soul force. Now that he has such a powerful soul force, Qin Chen can unscrupulously spy on any martial artist below the 7th rank without being noticed at all, which is more than 10 or 100 times stronger than mental power spying. What surprised Qin Chen even more was that, in addition to soul force, his cultivation had unknowingly reached the middle stage of the heaven realm in the previous confrontation, and his mental power had suddenly been elevated to the peak of the 3rd rank due to the strengthening of his soul force. It is only one step away from the 4th rank. This harvest is simply too great. And Qin Chen was overjoyed. He originally just wanted to come to the Ge family to collect a debt, but he didn't expect that in the end, he was almost seized, but the benefits he gained were also amazing. Not to mention anything else, just gathering the soul into shape is an incomparably amazing heaven-defying harvest, far from being comparable to any treasure. That Ge family ancestor probably didn't know that the jade building he obtained actually hid the soul of an ancient powerhouse, right? And Qin Chen sighed. The Ge family ancestor was determined to crack the restrictions on this altar, and even when he died, his heart was full of regret, wanting his descendants to complete this wish for him. But he didn't know that it was because he couldn't crack the restrictions that he lived so long, otherwise, he would have been seized and his soul would have been scattered long ago. Well, I can be considered to have saved the Ge family. And, shaking his head, it was fortunate that he possessed the mysterious ancient book. If any other genius had come, they would have died beyond redemption. However, Qin Chen didn't want the Ge family to know what happened here. Quickly making hand seals, Qin Chen quickly restored the assessment formation set up by the Ge family ancestor before leisurely walking out of the Ge family ancestral shrine forbidden area. Young Master Qin Chen, you're finally out. And seeing Qin Chen, the Ge family members, who were originally drowsy, woke up at once. Young Master Qin Chen, how was it? How was the harvest? And knowing that it was impossible for Qin Chen to pass the assessment, Ge Pu still smiled and walked up, deliberately laughing. Young Master Chen, you stayed inside for so long. You must have passed the forbidden area assessment, right? And Qin Chen looked angry. What passed the assessment? Patriarch Ge Pu, you tricked me miserably. As soon as I entered the assessment, before I had time to react, I was judged to have failed the assessment. Tell me, is there anything fishy here? And how could that be? It shouldn't be. With young Master Qin Chen's talent, you should be able to easily pass the assessment. Could something have gone wrong? And Ge Pu pretended to be puzzled. In his heart, he couldn't help but laugh. Of course, there is something fishy here. People who are not from my Ge family cannot pass the assessment at all. Want to get the mind-gathering jade? Dream on. By the way, young Master Chen, since you failed the assessment, why did you stay inside for so long? It's been several hours, right? And not far away, an elder couldn't help but ask. What could I do? I was told that I failed the assessment just a quarter of an hour after I went in. I was so angry that I took a nap inside. And took a nap. And everyone was dizzy and almost vomited blood. They were waiting hard outside, feeling uneasy, wondering what Qin Chen was doing inside, but unexpectedly, he was sleeping inside. This is so. If they had known this, why would they have waited here for several hours? They would have definitely gone back to rest first. Alas, I can only say that young Master Qin Chen, you were unlucky. According to your talent, you should have been able to completely pass the Forbidden Area assessment. I don't know what happened that caused young Master Qin Chen to gain nothing. And Ge Pu sighed, seemingly feeling depressed for Qin Chen. Actually, I didn't gain nothing. At least, I got a piece of the mind-gathering jade that Patriarch Ge Pu mentioned. And you got the mind-gathering jade. And Ge Pu widened his eyes, opened his mouth, and looked unbelievable. It should be, right. And Qin Chen took out a piece of mind-gathering jade and deliberately said, I don't know if this piece is the mind-gathering jade that Patriarch Ge Pu mentioned. And this. Everyone in the Ge family was dumbfounded, and each of them was so depressed that they were about to vomit blood. Young Master Qin Chen, how did you get this mind-gathering jade? And Ge Pu was about to go crazy. As the head of the Ge family, he could tell at a glance that the jade in Qin Chen's hand was the treasure of their Ge family, the mind-gathering jade. I don't know either. After I failed the assessment, I was so depressed that I took a nap. Then, I found this jade flying out from inside, and I naturally caught it. And PFFT. Spitting out a mouthful of blood to the sky, everyone in the Ge family wanted to cry but had no tears. Is that allowed? If they had known this, they might as well have directly given Qin Chen 5 million silver coins. This is a mind-gathering jade. Taken outside, it is a priceless treasure that cannot be estimated at all. But now, they have no other choice. They can only send Qin Chen, this jinx, out of the Ge family with tears in their eyes. At this time, in the Qin family mansion, King Lingnan, Zhao Zhen, brought his powerful subordinates to the Qin family and met the seriously injured Qin Feng and Qin Fen. Grandpa, you must avenge your grandsons, Qin Fen said, gritting his teeth. Fen, don't worry, Grandpa will definitely avenge you too. And seeing his two grandsons become so miserable, Zhao Zhen immediately showed a murderous look and said in a cold voice. A terrifying aura bloomed from his body, making people palpitate. Father, what are you planning to do? Zhao Feng asked through gritted teeth, her voice filled with resentment. It's simple, we'll go straight to their door, Zhao Zhen said, his eyes flashing. Wouldn't that be inappropriate? Zhao Feng asked, startled. His Majesty Zhao Gao cares deeply about Qin Chen, treating him like a national treasure. If we directly attack, His Majesty might seize the opportunity to punish us. It would be better to act secretly. With your strength, Father, you could easily assassinate Qin Chen in the dark. Zhao Feng couldn't help but offer her suggestion. Going directly to their door would escalate the situation. Her family's power in Lingnan already made Zhao Gao uneasy, and causing trouble in the capital would harm her maternal family. Feng, you're still too naive. Acting secretly would be the inappropriate approach, Zhao Zhen said, shaking his head. Why is that? Zhao Feng asked, puzzled. Today, we entered the capital openly. Do you think Zhao Gao wouldn't know? With Zhao Gao's informants, we knew we couldn't avoid his scrutiny, so we deliberately made a public appearance. The purpose was to tell Zhao Gao that we weren't here to cause trouble. Over the years, Zhao Gao has been very wary of my Zhao family in Lingnan, constantly wanting to annex us. If we were to act covertly and assassinate Qin Chen, Zhao Gao would seize the opportunity to punish us. But if we openly go to their door to seek justice for my two grandsons, Zhao Gao wouldn't have enough reason to intervene, even if he wanted to. The Zhao family in Lingnan was powerful, controlling most of Lingnan's resources, and even imperial decrees had difficulty penetrating the region, which had always made the royal family very dissatisfied. Zhao Zhen's purpose in coming here was to avoid giving Zhao Gao any excuse to act. Therefore, assassination was out of the question. However, Qin Chen somehow managed to get involved with the Pill Pavilion and the Bloodline Sacred Land. Moreover, he is favored by Zhao Gao. Just look at this incident where the Pill Pavilion detained Prince Qi. I mobilized the Qin family and our family's forces in the capital, trying to pressure Zhao Gao, but I didn't expect that Zhao Gao not only ignored Prince Qi's fate but also severely reprimanded several princes and ministers who were closely related to our Qin family. If we openly deal with Qin Chen, Zhao Gao will definitely not agree and will intervene, Zhao Feng said with a wry smile. Previously, she had mobilized the forces of the Qin family and her own family, encouraging many ministers and princes to petition the emperor, hoping that His Majesty Zhao Gao would take action against Qin Chen. But when the results came back, Zhao Feng was stunned. Zhao Gao not only didn't punish Qin Chen but also severely reprimanded the many ministers who had petitioned, causing an uproar in the court. This petition dealt a heavy blow to the Qin and Zhao families' influence in the court. What? You mobilized the forces of the Qin family and my Zhao family to pressure Zhao Gao to severely punish Qin Chen? Zhao Zhen asked, startled. Then, he frowned and couldn't help but scold, foolish. What is it? Zhao Feng asked, puzzled. I thought it was an opportunity when Qin Chen dared to attack Prince Qi, so I acted. I didn't expect Zhao Gao to protect Qin Chen so much. Do you think Zhao Gao is really protecting Qin Chen? Zhao Zhen asked, shaking his head. Isn't he? Zhao Feng asked through gritted teeth. If he wasn't protecting him, why wouldn't Zhao Gao have taken any action when Qin Chen instigated the Pill Pavilion to detain Prince Qi? Instead, he allowed the Pill Pavilion to handle Prince Qi as they pleased. Disregarding the royal family's honor, Zhao Gao is willing to do anything for Qin Chen. That's Zhao Gao's shrewdness, Zhao Zhen said with a cold smile. I also understood the whole story of the matter. If Zhao Gao truly protected Qin Chen in his heart, he wouldn't have promised Feng Er the title of Champion Marquis after she returned to the capital. The Champion Marquis is the highest-ranking Marquis among the younger generation, a military position with real power. How could it be granted so easily? Zhao Gao's purpose in doing this is to hope that Feng Er and Qin Chen will have conflicts so that he can sit back and watch the tigers fight. Sit back and watch the tigers fight. Zhao Feng and Qin Fen were dumbfounded. Why would the emperor of the Great Qi Kingdom want to watch two members of the younger generation fight? That's what you don't understand, Zhao Zhen said, shaking his head, his expression gloomy. Zhao Gao's methods are extremely terrifying. In this Great Qi Kingdom, the two people he fears the most are Qin Baishan, the king of Dingwu, and me. Among them, his fear of Qin Baishan is even greater. Although I control Lingnan, I don't have military power. But Qin Baishan is different. The stability of the Great Qi Kingdom over the years can be said to be entirely due to Qin Baishan. It can be said that he defended half of the Great Qi Kingdom. However, Qin Baishan has made great contributions but has already been named king of Dingwu and controls most of the Great Qi Kingdom's army. His reputation in the army is extremely high. After repeated achievements, Zhao Gao has no ability to reward him, so he is a threat to the emperor. Zhao Gao has always wanted to weaken Qin Baishan's military power, but he has no way to do so. In addition, Qin Baishan is also very smart and is stationed outside all year round, not returning to the capital. Even if Zhao Gao has any ideas, he doesn't dare to act rashly. And when he was at a loss, you expelled Qin Chen and his mother from the Qin family. If Qin Chen and his mother were useless, it would be fine, but Qin Chen has a very good relationship with Chu Weikan of Tianxing Academy and Prince Kang, which has made Chu Weikan and Prince Kang constantly impeach your Qin family. This is an opportunity for Zhao Gao, and it suits his taste. Therefore, he supports both sides, and his purpose is to divide the Qin family and weaken its power in the court. This is also why Zhao Gao seems to be protecting Qin Chen but also promised Feng Er's title. Without Feng Er, he wouldn't be able to achieve his goal of weakening the Qin family. But Feng Er, you rashly used the power of the Qin family and my Zhao family to pressure Zhao Gao. Not only will it not work, but it will also anger Zhao Gao, make him lean towards Qin Chen, and take the opportunity to attack the Qin family and my Zhao family in Lingnan, Zhao Zhen said, shaking his head. This. Zhao Feng's face turned very ugly. She didn't expect that the people Zhao Gao really wanted to deal with were the Qin family and the Zhao family. Wasn't he afraid of a counterattack from these two major forces? So, in fact, if we deal with Qin Chen and make things big, Zhao Gao will not only not stop us but will be very happy. If we act secretly, he will seize the opportunity to punish my Zhao family in Lingnan, Zhao Zhen said, his eyes flashing, as if he had already seen through Zhao Gao's mind. Then what should we do? Zhao Feng asked, hesitating after hearing Zhao Zhen's words. It's simple, we'll go straight to their door. You should know where Qin Chen and his mother live, right? Today, I will openly seek justice for my 2 grandsons. With a cold snort, Zhao Zhen's lips curled into a cold smile. Directly kill our way to their door. Zhao Feng was dumbfounded. His father's plan was too exaggerated. Beside him, Qin Fen was extremely excited and couldn't help but flatter, as expected of grandfather, so powerful. Father, as far as I know, that little beast is not at his residence right now, but at the GE family's place. Zhao Feng hated Qin Chen to the bone, and naturally paid close attention to his whereabouts, monitoring him at all times. The GE family. Zhao Zhen was stunned and frowned. Which GE family? It's the GE family, the Jadestone family. Qin Chen and the GE family, how are they involved again? The GE family was a leading jade stone tycoon in the Great Qi Kingdom, and the Lingnan Zhao family had also done some business with them, so Zhao Zhen naturally knew them. I heard that the son of the GE family's patriarch owes that little beast a lot of money, and that little beast went to their door to collect the debt. HMPH. Now that little beast is relying on the name of the Pill Pavilion, he is very arrogant. Zhao Feng's face was sinister, with a sneer on his face. He went to the GE family to collect debts by himself. Zhao Zhen and the others widened their eyes, looking at each other. A teenager actually dared to go to the Jade Stone Tycoon, famous throughout the entire Great Qi Kingdom, to collect debts. Zhao Zhen and the others finally understood how arrogant and powerful Qin Chen was. No wonder his daughter had repeatedly suffered losses at this person's hands. Let's go. Then we will go to the GE family and meet this kid. With a cold smile, Zhao Zhen immediately made up his mind. Soon, a large group of people walked out in a mighty manner. Zhao Zhen and the others did not intend to hide their figures. Such a large group of people was so powerful that they immediately attracted many people passing by the Qin family's mansion. What happened? What's wrong with the Qin family? Hey, that group of people should be from the Lingnan Zhao family, right? When did the people from the Lingnan Zhao family come to the royal capital? And Zhao Feng, Qin Feng, and Qin Fen are all there. Where are they going? Could it be that they are going to make trouble for Qin Chen? It's possible. Hiss. This is going to be a big deal. Seeing Zhao Zhen and others leave in a mighty manner, everyone present speculated and couldn't help but be in an uproar. The grievances between Zhao Feng and Qin Chen had reached this point, and no one in the entire royal capital didn't know about it. Now that Zhao Feng's family, Lingnan Zhao Zhen, had come, everyone couldn't think of a second possibility other than to make trouble for Qin Chen. Immediately, everyone followed behind the team, closely following, wanting to see what the Qin family was doing. Qin family mansion. Father, Zhao Feng took Zhao Zhen and the others out just now. In the mansion's courtyard, Qin Ying rushed into Qin Yuanzi's room, her expression anxious. That Zhao Zhen came to the royal capital, could it be that he really came to make trouble for Qinair and the others? Qin Yuanzi stood up suddenly, his expression solemn. Zhao Zhen and the others entered the Qin mansion. Qin Yuanzi was naturally clear, and he was very nervous. He asked Qin Ying to pay attention to the other party's movements at any time, just in case their purpose was to make trouble for Qin Chen. Now, before the other party had even warmed their seats, they went out directly, and brought Qin Feng and Qin Fen, 2 brothers. If Zhao Zhen and the others were not going to find Qin Chen, Qin Yuanzi himself wouldn't believe it. No. We must not let Zhao Feng and the others run amok. Standing up suddenly, Qin Yuanzi could no longer remain calm and rushed out of the Qin mansion. Outside the royal capital city gate. At this time, the many experts of the Ghost Immortal sect had finally arrived at the city gate. Is this the royal capital of the Great Qi Kingdom? With a sneer at the corner of his mouth, Nian Shuo looked up at the large characters on the city gate, his eyes cold. What are you doing? Hurry up and pay the money. A city guard saw Nian Shuo and others standing still, and couldn't help but step forward and reprimand them. Before he could walk in, boom, A ghost immortal sect elder beside Nian Shuo suddenly released a terrifying aura from his body, directly shaking the city guard back, his face horrified. He felt as if he was in a furnace. Just being swept by the aura made him break out in a cold sweat, drenched as if he had just been fished out of the water. Profound level powerhouse. Although the city guard was only a late-stage peak Earth level martial artist, he had seen a lot and immediately exclaimed, "What's going on?" The other city guards felt the abnormality and rushed over. Whoosh. They surrounded Nian Shuo and others. "Sect Master, do you want to kill all these city guards?" The ghost immortal sect elder sneered, a strong murderous intent flashing in his eyes, looking at the city guards in front of him as if they were dead men. The city guards were furious when they heard this. These guys are so arrogant, killing them all. Who do they think they are? Who are you people? The leading city guard couldn't help but shouted sharply. Although he was angry, he could also see that the group of people in front of him were very scary and were by no means ordinary martial artists, especially the aura on their bodies. The weakest one was not inferior to the deputy commander of the city guards. "Be careful, there is a profound level powerhouse among them." The city guard who was shaken back reminded in a low voice. Profound level powerhouse. All the city guards gasped. What was the concept of a profound level powerhouse? Even in the royal capital of the Great Qi Kingdom, only the patriarchs of those big families possessed such cultivation. "No need. We are here to avenge Wu Ji, don't make a big fuss." Nian Shuo raised his head and said indifferently. "Yes." The elder restrained his murderous aura. "We are people from the Ghost Immortal sect. We have important matters to attend to when we come to the Great Qi Kingdom. Get out of here quickly." Then, one person walked out and shouted coldly, "People from the Ghost Immortal sect." There was an uproar at the city gate. The forces of the Northwest Five Kingdoms were intricate and complex. In addition to many countries, there were also many powerful sects that ranked among the top forces. Among them, the Ghost Immortal sect and the Lingtian sect were the two most prominent top forces. Therefore, almost no one among the people of the Great Qi Kingdom had not heard of the Ghost Immortal sect's name. Especially this time in the Five Nations competition, the Ghost Immortal sect colluded with the Great Wei Kingdom to attack the Great Qi Kingdom's geniuses. In the end, even the young sect master was killed by the Great Qi Kingdom's genius. The matter caused a stir and everyone knew about it. Hearing that they were experts from the Ghost Immortal sect, the city guards did not dare to stop them and could only watch as this group of people swaggered into the royal capital. "Report this matter to the commander immediately, and then let the commander notify His Majesty," the responsible leader said nervously. The arrival of the Ghost Immortal sect experts in the royal capital would definitely not be a good thing, and it was very likely to cause a major riot in the royal capital. What are the people from the Ghost Immortal sect doing in our Great Qi Kingdom? Could it be that they are here to make trouble for our Great Qi Kingdom's geniuses? If that's the case, then it will be troublesome. Not only the city guards, but also the many people present were in an uproar, all extremely nervous. Sect Master. As soon as Nian Shuo and the others walked into the royal capital, a stream of light swept over and respectfully landed in front of Nian Shuo and the others, kneeling on one knee. This person had a beard and a rather ugly appearance, but his eyes flashed with brilliance, appearing very shrewd. "Qian Feng, what's the status of your investigation?" Nian Shuo asked casually. This person was an intelligence agent from the Ghost Immortal sect, sent ahead to the Great Qi Kingdom's capital to gather information. Reporting to the sect master, this subordinate has already found the Qin family's residence, located in the Eastern Noble District. The Qin family is a military meritorious family of the Great Qi Kingdom, with great strength. However, there are currently no top experts in the residence. In addition, Qin Chen lives in the western part of the city and does not reside with the Qin family. "Oh, fellow Qin family disciples, but not together." Nian Shuo's face showed suspicion. Qian Feng hurriedly said, "This subordinate has inquired." As with the information previously obtained, although Qin Chen is a member of the Qin family, he is the illegitimate son of Princess Qin Baishan, the king of Dingwu of the Great Qi Kingdom. Therefore, he has always been unpopular in the Qin family. A few months ago, he was expelled from the Qin family, so his relationship with Qin Feng is very hostile, and there have been several conflicts. Illegitimate son. Nian Shuo sneered, the Qin family's relationships are really chaotic. Qian Feng added, but the Qin Chen is also a character. Although he was expelled from the Qin family, he has close relationships with many strong people in the capital. It is said that even the pavilion master of the Pill Pavilion of the Great Qi Kingdom is a close friend of his. The pavilion master of the Pill Pavilion of the Great Qi Kingdom. Nian Shuo's pupils shrank, and he frowned. Are you sure the information is correct? The Pill Pavilion is an extremely terrifying force throughout the heavenly martial continent, and even the Ghost Immortal sect has to be wary. There will be no mistake. Just 2 days ago, this Qin Chen caused quite a stir in the Pill Pavilion, Qian Feng nodded. HMPH. No matter what connections Qin Chen has, this time, he will not be allowed to live. This sect master does not believe that the pavilion master of the Pill Pavilion of the Great Qi Kingdom will go to war with my Ghost Immortal sect for the sake of a mere boy. Nian Shuo sneered. However, the most important purpose of this trip is still that Qin Feng. After all, he is the most suspected of killing Wu Ji. In this way, Li Yang, Zhao Dao, you two go to the west of the city and kill that Qin Chen. The rest of us will go to the Qin family and kill Qin Feng. The murderer who killed Wu Ji must be among these two. Nian Shuo's face was ferocious. Although he didn't know who the real murderer who killed Nian Wu Ji was, since it was one of Qin Feng and Qin Chen, then he would kill them all. The only principle that Nian Shuo adhered to was, rather kill by mistake than let go. Qian Feng, take this letter and go to the Great Qi Kingdom's palace and give it to Zhao Gao of the Great Qi Kingdom. I hope that Zhao Gao is wise and doesn't get carried away and do stupid things. Let's go. After instructing the task, Nian Shuo immediately followed the map provided by Qian Feng and headed to the Qin family's location. At the same time, 2 elders of the Ghost Immortal sect separated from the team and flew towards Qin Chen's residence in the west of the city. Royal Palace. Your Majesty, Zhao Zhen and the others have gone to find trouble with Qin Chen, just as Your Majesty expected. A eunuch knelt on both knees in front of Zhao Gao, his head lowered to the ground. HMPH. That Zhao Zhen is really impatient. He wants to attack Qin Chen so quickly. Is he afraid that the other party will react and there will be no chance? Zhao Gao sneered. He learned the news of Zhao Zhen's arrival in the capital as soon as possible, and also knew his purpose. A dignified giant of Lingnan is so desperate for his grandson, which made Zhao Gao feel quite ridiculous. But this is also good. Zhao Zhen, our Zhao Zhen, you must not be caught by us. Otherwise, this time, us will make your Zhao family of Lingnan become history. With a cold smile in his heart, Zhao Gao immediately ordered, pass on my order, no matter what happens later, the city guards must not act on their own accord, and obey orders. Yes. The eunuch bowed and retreated. Zhao Gao's mouth outlined a smile, his eyes flickering. Report. Just then, a loud shout suddenly sounded, and another eunuch hurried in. What's the matter, making such a fuss? Zhao Gao frowned, his good mood was instantly broken. Putong. The eunuch was so frightened that he knelt on the ground, not daring to speak. Speak. What's the matter? Zhao Gao swept over coldly and spoke. Someone claiming to be the sect master of the Ghost Immortal sect has sent someone to deliver a letter to Your Majesty. Ghost Immortal sect. Zhao Gao's pupils suddenly shrank. Why did the sect master of the Ghost Immortal sect come here? He suddenly stood up and had to be vigilant. The Ghost Immortal sect is one of the top sects in the Northwest 5 Kingdoms, and its strength is no less than that of the 5 great powers. Over the years, the Great Qi Kingdom has never had any dealings or entanglements with the Ghost Immortal sect. Now that the sect master of the Ghost Immortal sect suddenly came to the capital of the Great Qi Kingdom, Zhao Gao immediately became extremely vigilant. Bring it up. Zhao Gao gave a low shout, then took the letter from the eunuch's hand, glanced at the contents, and his face suddenly became gloomy. As expected, his eyes flashed, and the other party was indeed here for the 5 Kingdoms Grand Competition preliminary test. Immediately summon the Spirit Martial King to see me. Sitting on the dragon chair, Zhao Gao could no longer maintain his composure. I hope things don't go beyond his control. When Zhao Zhen and the others went to the GE family aggressively, Qin Chen had already left the GE family and returned to his residence. Chenair, Where have you been these past 2 days? You don't come back at night. I'm worried to death. Qin Yuqi couldn't help but complain. These past 2 days, Qin Chen had been staying in the pill pavilion because he was refining the blood spirit liquid, and he hadn't come back. In addition, he had caused quite a stir, which made Qin Yuqi very worried. Suddenly, Qin Yuqi felt the aura on Qin Chen's body, her eyes flashed sharply, and a look of surprise flashed in her eyes. However, this trace of surprise was quickly hidden, and even Qin Chen did not notice it. Mom, don't worry, your child will be fine, Qin Chen said. Only in front of Qin Yuqi would Qin Chen show a gentle expression. Okay, my Chenair has grown up, and mother can't control you anymore, but Chenair, you must pay attention to safety and don't worry your mother, Qin Yuqi said, touching Qin Chen's face with love. Yes, Qin Chen nodded heavily. Mom, I'm a little tired, I'll go back to rest first. This child. Watching Qin Chen return to his room, Qin Yuqi shook her head speechlessly and shouted, then you rest for a while, Mom will get you something to eat, come out to eat later. Got it, Qin Chen shouted, returned to his room, and after closing the door, Qin Chen did not rest, but sat cross-legged and began to sense the condition of his body. Earlier in the GE family, his soul power had been greatly improved, even surpassing his previous life. Now, what Qin Chen wants to do most is to control his soul power and transform it into his true strength. Moreover, he also wanted to understand what exactly was the black soul shadow absorbed by the mysterious rust sword. After being absorbed by the mysterious rust sword, was it dead or dormant? Would there still be a chance to escape? These were all things Qin Chen wanted to understand. Let's cultivate first. Now that my spiritual power has broken through to the peak of the 3rd rank, it's time to cultivate the Myriad God technique. The Myriad God technique is a spiritual power secret technique that Qin Chen obtained in his previous life. It can only be cultivated after the spiritual power reaches the peak of the 3rd rank. Previously, the conditions were never met. Now that his spiritual power has broken through to the peak of the 3rd rank, Qin Chen can't wait to start cultivating. The Myriad God technique is very powerful and terrifying. Once successfully cultivated, it will greatly improve his strength. While Qin Chen was cultivating the Myriad God technique, Zhao Zhen and his group arrived outside the GE family's gate in a mighty manner. Who is it? 2 guards immediately stepped forward and shouted coldly. Get out of the way. Zhao Zhen shouted coldly, and immediately experts from both sides stepped forward to block the 2 guards. Boom. Then, with a kick, the GE family's gate, which had just been repaired, was kicked down again. The 2 guards were furious when they saw this and were about to cry. They had just sent away 1 evil star, and now another group had come. Did their GE family have a jinx today and was destined to have trouble? The other people who came with Zhao Zhen and the others were also dumbfounded. Could it be that they had guessed wrong? Zhao Feng and the others were not here to find trouble with Qin Chen, but with the GE family. This was a big misunderstanding. At this moment, a loud shout suddenly rang out. Who is making trouble in my GE family? Hearing the commotion outside, GE Pooh and the others, who had not had time to rest, flew over instantly. Their faces were livid, and they were almost spitting blood. How long had it been before someone came to make trouble again? Did everyone think their GE family was easy to bully? GE Pooh had already made up his mind that this time, no matter who it was, he would teach them a good lesson. Madame Zhao. However, after seeing Zhao Feng and the others at the door, GE Pooh was immediately dumbfounded, especially when he saw Zhao Zhen in front of Zhao Feng. His body trembled even more. Master Zhao of Lingnan, why is it you? Seeing the other party, GE Pooh's legs went weak, and he was about to cry. Although the GE family was a wealthy family in the Great Qi Kingdom, it could be called a top force, but it was only among many ordinary forces. In addition to this, there were many forces that were far above the GE family, such as the Qin family and the Zhao family of Lingnan. These were all giants of the Great Qi Kingdom, powerful forces that could influence the entire situation of the Great Qi Kingdom. Seeing the other party's aggressive appearance, GE Pooh's heart skipped a beat. Could it be that GE Zhou, that kid, also owed the Qin family money? If that was the case, it would be better to beat this rebellious son to death, as he was only causing trouble for the family. So it is Master Zhao Zhen and Madame Zhao Feng. May I ask what brings you two to my GE family? Although his heart was uneasy, GE Poo could not possibly back down in front of everyone. He suppressed his anger and asked cautiously, trying not to appear humble and disgrace the GE family. Tell that little bastard Qin Chen to get out. He dared to hurt Zhao Zhen's grandson. Qin Chen is so bold. Zhao Zhen shouted coldly, his voice rumbling, and his domineering voice echoed throughout the entire block, deafening everyone. What? Looking for Qin Chen? Hearing Zhao Zhen's words, GE Poo could no longer bear it and spat out a mouthful of blood in anger. What? That Qin Chen has already gone back. Learning that Qin Chen was not in the GE family, Zhao Zhen and the others were also dumbfounded. Since that's the case, then I, Zhao, will take my leave. Since Qin Chen had returned, Zhao Zhen and the others were too lazy to waste any more time here, and the group headed mightily towards the west of the city. Looking at the departing backs of Zhao Zhen and the others, GE Poo wanted to cry but had no tears. Why was he so unlucky? The other party was clearly here to find Qin Chen, but they happened to smash his GE family's gate. It was simply extremely unlucky. However, after such a commotion, GE Poo and the others were depressed and excited at the same time. It seemed that the Zhao family of Lingnan was going to find trouble with Qin Chen. This was a big deal. The Zhao family of Lingnan was the top force in the Great Qi Kingdom, and there were many experts. This time, they came to find trouble with Qin Chen, which would inevitably cause a sensation. Let's go take a look. Not even having time to repair the gate, GE Poo and a group of elders excitedly followed behind. Qin Chen did not know that the two elders of the Ghost Immortal sect and the people of the Zhao family of Lingnan were already coming to kill him. Of course, even if he knew, he would not be afraid. Qin Chen did not care about the disturbances outside, nor did he notice them. He was immersed in the cultivation of the myriad god technique. Strands of spiritual power were constantly flowing in Qin Chen's body. If you looked from a distance, you would find that these spiritual powers seemed to form a large net, which was very complex and terrifying. These spiritual powers formed a whole, like true energy circulating around the heavens, circulating in Qin Chen's body. Each circulation would strengthen it by 1 point. Spiritual storm. Whoosh. Suddenly, the entire spiritual power net glowed slightly. Qin Chen gathered his spiritual power together and shot it out from between his eyebrows. Bang! A teacup on the table in front seemed to have suffered an invisible impact. It shook and fell from the table, shattering into pieces. No, the spiritual power is not internal enough. Normally, a spiritual storm, although it was a virtual attack, was enough to shatter the teacup into pieces with one blow. Now, it only knocked it off the table, which was obviously not powerful enough. Of course, this kind of power was only reflected on the inanimate teacup. If it hit a warrior's brain, it would be different. Suddenly suffering such a terrible spiritual power impact, even a profound level expert would feel dizzy and even fall into a stupor. To be able to cultivate to this level in such a short period of time is already good. In my previous life, it took me several months to cultivate to this point. In this life, with the experience of my previous life and the control of the powerful soul power formed by gathering souls, I was able to cultivate the first level of the myriad god technique, spiritual storm, in such a short period of time. However, Qin Chen did not regret it. Cultivation was not something that could be accomplished overnight. As long as the first level of the myriad god technique was cultivated, the power of the spiritual storm would naturally gradually increase. The place where the Qin Chen is located should be in front. Hundreds of meters away from Qin Chen's residence, two figures were flying extremely fast. They were the two inner sect elders of the Ghost Immortal sect. The Ghost Immortal sect was one of the top sects in the Northwest 5 Kingdoms. To be able to serve as an inner sect elder, both of them had cultivation bases in the early stage of the profound level. Flying at full speed from the city gate would not take much time at all. Elder Zhao Dao, I heard that Qin Chen is not weak. Let's attack together later and be sure to kill him with one blow, and then go to join the sect master. The older elder Li Yang said in a deep voice. Don't worry, it's just killing a little guy. I can do it alone, let alone a sneak attack. That Zhao Dao was in his 40s, with a scar across his cheek, looking particularly ferocious. My ghost-severing saber technique will kill him instantly. Zhao Dao revealed a grim smile. Their speed was extremely fast, and they quickly arrived outside Qin Chen's residence. Swish swish. Two figures flew up and landed in the residence. Their speed was so fast that the patrolling city guards outside didn't even have time to notice. Profound-level martial artists have very keen senses. Even if they haven't cultivated spiritual power, they can easily sense movements within 100 meters and avoid some dangers. It should be here. Li Yang and Zhao Dao exchanged glances, their perception spreading towards the mansion. After successfully cultivating the spiritual storm, Qin Chen didn't continue practicing. Instead, he took out the mysterious rusty sword to perceive its internal structure. The black soul phantom was absorbed into the mysterious rusty sword, which definitely didn't happen for no reason. There must be a reason for it. What Qin Chen had to do was figure out the reason. However, no matter how he sensed it, the mysterious rusty sword seemed like an abyss, filled with endless darkness, making it impossible for him to see through it at all. What kind of treasure is this mysterious rusty sword? Qin Chen frowned. Just as he was about to investigate carefully, his brow suddenly furrowed. Just now, a perception had scanned over. It's a profound-level martial artist. The spiritual perception of a profound-level martial artist is very concealed. Generally, those below the profound level can't sense it at all. However, Qin Chen was a spiritual power cultivator, and his soul power was very terrifying, even no less than that of a Nine Heavens martial emperor, so he was able to detect it. It's here again, two of them. Qin Chen's eyes became serious, but on the surface, he pretended nothing had happened and continued to fiddle with the rusty sword in his hand. Who wants to deal with me? And it's two profound-level martial artists at once. In his heart, Qin Chen was guessing. Profound-level martial artists are not cabbages. In places like the Northwest Five Nations, they already belong to the top combat power. Entering the army, they are at least generals. Joining a family, they are enough to become grand elders of wealthy families. As for in top sects, they are at least inner elders. Could it be Zhao Feng? The first person that appeared in Qin Chen's mind was Zhao Feng. In the entire Great Qi Kingdom, the one who wanted to kill him the most was undoubtedly Zhao Feng. Others simply didn't have the guts or the energy. It doesn't seem like it. Moreover, this aura seems like I've seen it somewhere before. It's the Ghost Immortal sect. Suddenly, Qin Chen was shocked. He always felt a familiar feeling about the perception aura just now. Now that he thought about it, it was very similar to the aura on Nian Wuji and Ling Jun during the preliminary round of the Five Nations tournament. The martial artists of the Ghost Immortal sect often cultivate similar techniques, which also leads to their auras being somewhat similar. This aura is very illusory. Ordinary martial artists may not be able to sense it. Even if they remember it, they will quickly forget it. However, Qin Chen's perception was too keen. As long as it was an aura he had experienced, he would never forget it. I didn't expect the people from the Ghost Immortal sect would come to the Great Qi Kingdom's capital. But why would they attack me? Haven't they already determined that Qin Feng is the murderer? Qin Chen kept thinking in his mind, but on the surface, he remained calm. Corner of the mansion. Li Yang and Zhao Dao's perception, through the wall, landed on Qin Chen. Peak mid-stage heaven level cultivation. Didn't they say he was only at the early stage heaven level? And the aura on his body is so thick. Li Yang gave a light, A. Before coming, he had already carefully read the information, knowing that Qin Chen's cultivation was only at the early stage heaven level. He didn't expect that now, he had actually reached the peak mid-stage heaven level. How long has it been since the preliminary round of the Five Nations tournament? Less than half a month, Qin Chen's cultivation has actually improved by another level. Is this still human? He's simply a pervert. No. Even if he's a pervert, it shouldn't be so exaggerated, right? I heard that this kid is only 15 years old. Elder Li Yang, you're not afraid, are you? Zhao Dao sneered. Li Yang almost jumped up as if his tail had been stepped on. Zhao Dao, what do you mean? He's just a mid-stage heaven-level martial artist. Would I be afraid? I'm just a little surprised. Moreover, this person's strength has improved so quickly, I always feel a little strange. Could it be that this person killed the young sect master? From the information given by Ling Jung, the most likely murderer of Nian Wuji was Qin Feng. As for this Qin Chen, it was just a small guess, and the possibility was very low. Therefore, sect master Nian Shuo led many experts to the Qin family. But at this moment, after sensing Qin Chen's cultivation, Li Yang vaguely had a feeling that the murderer who killed the young sect master might be this Qin Chen. Regardless of whether he killed the young sect master or not, this person must die today. By the way, there is also a woman in another room of this mansion, and she seems to have a pretty good appearance. He. Zhao Dao laughed sinisterly. When he was traveling the pugilistic world in the Northwest Five Nations, Zhao Dao also had a nickname, known as the Mad Blade Lecher. This person was extremely lecherous. He had defiled hundreds of innocent girls, and he liked to kill people after raping them, enjoying that perverted process. Don't mess around, don't forget our purpose here, which is to kill that Qin Chen. Li Yang's face was ugly. At this time, Zhao Dao was still thinking about these things. He really didn't know if the sect master's decision to bring him here was right or wrong. I will naturally not forget the sect master's order, but after killing someone, having some fun is also necessary. Zhao Dao chuckled. Alright, stop talking nonsense, let's do it. Be sure to use killing moves, otherwise it will be difficult if we attract the strong of the Great Qi Kingdom. Li Yang snorted coldly. Don't worry. Zhao Dao licked his lips, his face with a savage look. The true power in their bodies quietly circulated, and the auras of the two people quickly rose. The two shot at the same time, their figures like lightning, cutting through the void, instantly rushing into Qin Chen's room. Boom! The entire wall was extremely fragile, like tofu, and under the impact of the two, it instantly split apart, revealing two large holes. At the same time, the auras of the two rose to the extreme, and they were about to attack Qin Chen in the room like lightning. Among them, Zhao Dao suddenly drew out the battle saber from his waist, while Li Yang's hands were scorching hot, containing terrifying power. Wind's fleeting glimpse. They were fast, but Qin Chen was even faster. Just as the two had made a move and before they could attack, the mysterious rusty sword in Qin Chen's hand suddenly drew out countless strange sword lights. These sword lights crazily circulated, like dense raindrops, covering the bodies of the two. What? Before Li Yang and Zhao Dao could attack, they were enveloped by the sword light all over the sky, their expressions somewhat dull, and they were stunned for a moment. What's going on? How did Qin Chen know that someone was going to sneak attack him, and how did he know that they would sneak attack from this location? Coincidence. Even a fool would know that this was impossible. The expressions of the two instantly became very ugly, as if they had seen a ghost. The only explanation for this situation was that Qin Chen possessed perception comparable to a Xuan-level martial artist. He used his powerful perception to sense their presence in advance and prepared accordingly. Otherwise, there was no way to explain the fact that they had just rushed out, not even having had time to attack, and were already being attacked by Qin Chen. Damn it! This thought flashed through their minds. At this moment, they couldn't consider so much. Their figures suddenly retreated violently, trying to avoid Qin Chen's attack. At the same time, they held their hands and sabers in front of their chests to defend. However, they underestimated the speed of Qin Chen's sword and the power of Qin Chen's sword techniques. In addition, they wasted a lot of time due to being caught off guard. By the time they reacted, Qin Chen's attack had already arrived. Swish, 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 swish. The sky was filled with sword rain. Each sword light was like a sharp blade, crazily landing on their bodies. Clang, clang, clang. Puff, puff, puff. The sounds of swords and sabers colliding and sword energy entering the body were endless. The two were instantly enveloped in sword rain. What does it feel like to be cut into 1,000 pieces? Li Yang and Zhao Dao deeply felt it today. The clothes on their bodies were instantly torn apart, and the true energy shields were cut with long openings. Terrifying energy penetrated their bodies, leaving dense sword marks on them, from which blood seeped out. At the same time, A terrifying sword energy force penetrated their bodies, entered their bodies, and frantically stirred, wantonly destroying their meridians and true energy. In just an instant, the two suffered a terrifying blow. How could this be? This child is only at the mid-stage of the heaven realm. How can he break through my defense? And injured. The two were greatly shocked, one by one in shock and anger. Previously, even if Qin Chen had discovered the traces in advance, they were only surprised. They had not yet reached the point of shock and anger. After all, in their opinion, with Qin Chen's mid-stage heaven realm cultivation, he could not even break through the defenses. But the result gave the two a heavy blow. Damn it! I will tear you to pieces. Zhao Dao roared. The rumbling sound shook the entire house, causing it to tremble, as if it were about to collapse. Not enough. And, relying on the subtlety of the wind, seizing the opportunity of the opponent's attack, and injuring the two, not only forced back the two's killing moves, but also caused confusion in the two's minds, but Qin Chen knew that this was far from enough. The opponent is not an ordinary person, but an extremely terrifying Xuan-level martial artist. If ordinary martial artists came, even late-stage peak heaven realm martial artists, under his sword that had accumulated power in advance and was well prepared, would have their heads separated from their bodies. But facing these two from the Ghost Immortal sect earlier only injured the opponent, and this injury had not even reached the point of serious injury. Once the two recovered and their injuries recovered, it would be dangerous for him to fight two enemies alone. Must kill one person first. And Qin Chen's thoughts flashed quickly in his mind. Mental storm. His eyes opened, and a cold light flickered. Deep in Qin Chen's pupils, they rotated like a kaleidoscope. An extremely terrifying mental impact suddenly rushed out of his eyes, precisely the mental storm that he had just cultivated not long ago. Silently, a void mental wave shot out, ignoring Zhao Dao's defense, and instantly submerged into Zhao Dao's mind. Boom! Zhao Dao's sea of souls suddenly fluctuated. The strong mental impact made him grunt, his figure stagnated, and his eyes became dull. Ah! He let out a painful roar. Qin Chen's mental power was too strong, as high as the peak of the third rank. Under the amplitude of the myriad god's art, it was enough to cause damage to Xuan-level martial artists. If Zhao Dao was an alchemist or a bloodline master, it would be better, as he would have mental power to resist. But he was not. Under Qin Chen's mental impact, he immediately suffered a huge blow. Whoosh! In Zhao Dao's painful roar, Qin Chen did not stop. Holding the mysterious rusty sword, his figure swayed and came to Zhao Dao. A sword stabbed out like lightning. Sword drawing technique and M-, lightning spark. The sword drawing technique is a sword technique that Qin Chen cultivates. This sword technique is very simple, with only a few moves, but its sword moves are very strange. It is not complicated at all, and it is very ordinary. The only terrifying thing is speed. Swish! When this sword was stabbed, it seemed to draw a white, narrow thread in the void, blooming with a brilliant sword light. From a distance, Qin Chen's sword light was like a paper cutter, almost cutting the void in half. If this sword struck Zhao Dao, under the mental impact, he would definitely be seriously injured, or even die. You dare, you little bastard. Boom! Li Yang roared from the side. At this moment, he also reacted and saw that Zhao Dao was in crisis. He was immediately shocked and angry. He did not care about hiding his strength and instantly exploded with his strongest combat power. His hands suddenly turned crimson, and the hot air exploded, as if two fireballs were exploding in his hands, blasting towards Qin Chen. If this move hit, even if Qin Chen could kill Zhao Dao, he would be blasted into pieces. Waiting for you. Unexpectedly, at the critical moment, Qin Chen suddenly turned around. After the sword light in his hand flickered twice, it pierced through the void and came directly in front of Li Yang. This retreat and advance was very natural, like flowing clouds and flowing water, without any obstacles. What? And Li Yang was shocked. He never expected that in an instant, Qin Chen would react so quickly, changing from attacking Zhao Dao to attacking himself, connecting without a single gap. The other party was clearly feigning an attack on Zhao Dao to lure him to attack, and using the flaws caused by his hasty attack to launch an attack on himself. Damn it! The terrifying sword light flashed before his eyes, and Li Yang felt a strong sense of death crisis. But after all, he had rich combat experience and was a Xuan-level expert. Whether it was psychological endurance or reaction speed, he was far superior to ordinary people. At the critical moment, he roared and turned his hands from attack to defense, blocking them in front of his throat. Boom! The sword light and fist light intertwined, and a terrifying energy suddenly erupted. With a loud bang, the tables and chairs in the entire room collapsed, and the walls shook, and dust fell. Poochie. Immediately afterwards, blood bloomed, and a deep sword hole appeared on Li Yang's hands. The long sword was extremely sharp and almost pierced through his arm. At the same time, a terrifying force raged along Li Yang's hands, rushed into his body, and rammed wildly in his meridians. Even his Xuan-level true energy could not suppress it. It's actually sword intent. Li Yang felt unbelievable in his heart. Sword intent is the ultimate goal of a swordsman, and often requires extremely strong sword talent to master. Normally speaking, generally Xuan-level martial artists can only get a glimpse of the threshold of sword intent, and only when they reach the 5th level martial sect, the Grandmaster level, will they achieve great success in sword intent. But Qin Chen was only 15 years old, and his cultivation was only at the mid-stage of the Heaven Realm, but he had already mastered the sword intent, and it was such a terrifying sword intent. How could this not shock and anger Li Yang? This child is simply too monstrous. As far as I know, in the entire Northwest 5 nations, only Yu Changxiu of the Lingqian sect has comprehended sword intent. Moreover, how old is that Yu Changxiu? At least 18 or 19 years old. But this Qin Chen is at least several years younger, yet he has also comprehended sword intent. The shock in Li Yang's heart was like an earthquake, impossible to stop. At this moment, he had a feeling that it was very likely that the young sect master, Tianwu Ji, had died at Qin Chen's hands. This child's talent is too high. If I don't kill him today, there will definitely be endless troubles in the future. A trace of ruthlessness flashed in his heart, and a terrifying flame power suddenly erupted from Li Yang's body. An astonishing force soared into the sky, expelling most of the sword intent that Qin Chen had bombarded into his body. At the same time, he quickly swallowed a few pills. Chi. The places where his hands were originally injured healed at an alarming speed. They were at least 4th grade healing pills. 4th level bloodline power. Qin Chen's eyes narrowed. What a pity. Ever since Li Yang blocked his sword with both hands, Qin Chen knew that he had lost the best opportunity to kill Li Yang. As a 4th level profound rank martial artist, the true Qi in his body had already been transformed into true power. In terms of true Qi alone, heavenly rank martial artists were simply unable to compare with profound rank martial artists. If Qin Chen hadn't been cultivating the 9-star God Emperor art and mastered sword intent, it would have been impossible for him to break through Li Yang's defense. Having failed to kill his opponent, Qin Chen's eyes did not show the slightest fluctuation. This was just one of the possibilities he had anticipated. His figure retreated violently, and the sword intent emanating from the mysterious rusty sword in Qin Chen's right hand became even more intense. He was like a sword god, slashing out once again. Go! Dense sword lights, like an interwoven spider web, enveloped Li Yang. The sword lights crisscrossed, each containing astonishing sword qi. Under the barrage, the power was astonishing, and the tragic intensity was beyond description. How laughable, you actually dare to attack in the face of this old man's 4th grade bloodline power. Li Yang coldly shouted, his emotionless eyes staring fixedly at Qin Chen. Deep in his pupils, a strong killing intent flashed. To be forced to this point by a teenager, Li Yang had never encountered this in his life. The humiliation in his heart was even more infuriating than the injuries on his body. Great blood heaven hand. With a roar, Li Yang's hands erupted with unprecedented blood energy. A huge blood-colored handprint seemed to appear in the void, pressing down fiercely on Qin Chen. Boom! Bang! The blood handprint collided with the sky full of sword light, making a violent roar. The entire house was rumbling, as if it was about to collapse at any moment. Crack! Finally, the rafter above could not withstand it and broke, tilting half of the house, and countless tiles fell down. Meteor chasing the moon. Qin Chen's eyes suddenly lit up, and he stabbed out with his sword. Huala. The blood-colored handprint, having lost most of its power, was forcibly split open from the middle, and the bright sword light went straight to Li Yang's face. A petty trick, Li Yang sneered, urging the true power in his body to the maximum. Boom. Blood-colored true power permeated, blocking Qin Chen's sword. Not good. However, after blocking this sword, instead of being pleasantly surprised, Li Yang's heart sank. Faintly, there seemed to be a strong sense of crisis enveloping him. But he couldn't feel the source of the crisis. Where is it? Before his perception could scan even halfway. Boom. Several tiles that had fallen in front of him suddenly exploded, and 3 black streamers, like swallows, instantly swept towards the vital points of his body. What? This is the young sect master's flying knife true treasure. Seeing the 3 black streamers, Li Yang was unprecedentedly shocked and angry. The 3 streamers were clearly 3 black flying knives. If not the young master's true treasure, then what were they? So, you really killed the young sect master. Li Yang was unprecedentedly furious, but at this moment, he had no chance to think too much, because the 3 flying knives had already arrived at his vital points. He could only watch helplessly as the 3 streamers shot from tricky angles. Damn it! Li Yang roared, pushing his 4th-grade bloodline power to the extreme. Even the chi and blood in his body were stimulated by him, burning into even more terrifying power. Boom bang! The 3 flying knives were subjected to terrifying power and were shaken off their original trajectory, but they still pierced through Li Yang's body, bringing up puffs of blood, only avoiding the vital points. How dangerous! Li Yang broke out in a cold sweat. Just now, if he had been careless, he would have been dead. However, before he could completely relax, suddenly, a sword light flashed before his eyes. Qin Chen had already arrived beside him at some point, stabbing with his sword. Qin Chen's eyes were indifferent, without the slightest emotion, as if a cold god of death was staring at his prey. Sure. This sword light was too fast, so fast that Li Yang didn't even have time to react before it arrived in front of him. How can this child's combat experience be so rich? Li Yang was shocked and angry, his pupils shrinking sharply. No matter what, Qin Chen was just a teenager, but judging from his previous actions, his rich combat experience was simply breathtaking, even terrifying to him, a profound rank martial artist. From the beginning of their fight, Qin Chen's attacks were linked one after another, each link extremely dangerous. If they were slightly careless, the consequences would be unimaginable. It was hard to imagine how Qin Chen, a teenager, could have formed such a meticulous plan in his mind in such a short period of time. Break. At the critical moment of life and death, Li Yang could no longer maintain his composure. He bit the tip of his tongue and spat out a mouthful of blood. The blood turned into a blood mist, forming a strange rune, trying to block Qin Chen's attack. At the same time, Li Yang's figure retreated rapidly, increasing to the extreme in an instant. But he was fast, Qin Chen was even faster. The sword light twisted, shattering the blood mist in front of him, and then the long sword in Qin Chen's hand swept out again, startling Li Yang into hurriedly dodging to the side. Poochie! The sword light flashed, Li Yang let out a scream, and in the void, blood splattered. His right hand was thrown into the void, cut off abruptly. Escape. At this moment, Li Yang had lost the will to continue fighting. This guy in front of him was too terrifying. He had to notify the sect master and let the sect master deal with it. With a flicker of his figure, he was about to retreat. You think you can leave? Pooh. An invisible mental force shot out, and Qin Chen launched a mental storm towards Li Yang. The invisible mental force entered his body, Li Yang's figure stagnated, his eyes became confused, and his expression was dazed. Die. Since the battle had reached this point, Qin Chen would not give up until he killed Li Yang. With a flicker of his figure, he stabbed out with a powerful sword. The bright sword light instantly arrived before Li Yang's eyebrows, so fast that the naked eye could not even capture it. The exchange between the two happened in an instant, though it seemed long. With a sword thrust, Li Yang had no power to resist, and it looked like he was about to be decapitated. Damn brat, die for me. Without knowing when, Zhao Dao had already woken up, and seeing the scene before him, his hair stood on end in shock. Not having time to think about what had happened, with a roar, Zhao Dao held his battle blade high, slashing fiercely towards Qin Chen. Demon prison blade, heaven and earth collapse. Rumble. A terrifying blade light, tearing through the void, rumbled towards Qin Chen, its power as strong as a mountain collapsing. Must kill one first. Qin Chen's eyes were filled with murderous intent, completely ignoring Zhao Dao's attack. With a thought, 3 flying knives blocked in front of him. Welcome and cut the hair in the morning. 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 Welcome, welcome. Welcome, 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 welcome. At the same time, the long sword in his hand did not stop, its speed even faster, like a bolt of lightning cutting through the sky, bursting out. At the moment the sword light entered his head, Li Yang was stimulated by the sword energy, and his eyes suddenly cleared up. However, he was already too late to react, and could only watch helplessly as the terrifying sword light pierced straight into his brow. No. Under a miserable scream, regret and unwillingness arose in Li Yang's heart. He never would have thought that he, a dignified inner elder of the Ghost Immortal sect, would die in the capital of the great Qi kingdom, and at the hands of a teenager. I am not willing. The miserable roar pierced the sky. Poochie. In a flash of sword light, the vitality in Li Yang's mind instantly vanished, turning into nothingness. In the next moment, the blade light that Zhao Dao slashed out, with a series of bangs, shook away the 3 flying knives displayed by Qin Chen, and then landed on Qin Chen's body, emitting a violent roar, engulfing everything. The great battle here at Qin Chen's place emitted a huge roar. At first, everyone had not reacted, but soon, all the city guards patrolling outside were alarmed. Raising their heads, they saw a large amount of smoke and dust rising from the mansion where Qin Chen was, and at the same time, an astonishing aura permeated out. Not good. It's the young Master Chen's house. What's going on? Could it be that someone is trying to assassinate young Master Chen? Quickly go and notify Commander Zhao Li. All the city guards were stunned, each one frightened and pale. They were all very clear about the relationship between Qin Chen and Commander Zhao Li. The current Commander Zhao Li, in his 30s, was already a peak mid-stage Heaven Realm expert, becoming a rising star in the entire city guard. According to this cultivation speed, it was not impossible for Commander Zhao Li to break through to the Profound Realm in the future, and might even be able to compete for the position of Commander-in-Chief of the City Guard, or be transferred to the Imperial Guards. At that time, they would all have great prospects in the future. And all of this, they who had followed Zhao Li for several years were very clear, was all thanks to Qin Chen. It could be said that now their team basically did nothing, and had been patrolling near Qin Chen's residence to protect Qin Yuqi's safety. Now that a battle had occurred in the Qin family, they had not even noticed it beforehand, which was already a serious dereliction of duty. In shock and anger, this group of city guards rushed into the Qin family's mansion. Then, they saw the scene of Qin Chen's house collapsing. Young Master Chen! All the city guards present exclaimed, unable to resist rushing forward. Careful! Not far away, Qin Yuqi's exclamations came, stopping this group of city guards. Miss Qin, we. This group of city guards looked anxious, each one turning their heads to look, with puzzled expressions. Only to see that Qin Yuqi's face also carried a look of worry, but her eyes were very calm, anxiously saying, the opponent is a 4th-order Profound Realm martial artist. Even if you go up, it will be of no help. Quickly go and notify Dean Chu Weiken, and Pavilion Master Xiao Ya of the Pill Pavilion. Profound Realm martial artist. All the city guards were startled, their eyes revealing horror. Profound Realm martial artists were no ordinary people. In the entire Great Qi Kingdom capital, they were very rare. Which one wasn't a powerful figure? Unexpectedly, such a strong person came to assassinate young Master Chen. If that was really the case, going up would not only be of no help, but would instead be sending themselves to their deaths. At the same time, they couldn't help but be shocked. To be able to fight with a Profound Realm expert to such an extent, causing such a large commotion, just how terrifying was young Master Chen's strength. Don't hesitate, go and notify Dean Chu Weiken and him immediately. Seeing these city guards stunned with fright, without any reaction, Qin Yuqi couldn't help but anxiously say. But young Master Chen, These city guards finally reacted, but they couldn't help but feel anxious in their hearts. Profound Realm martial artist, could young Master Chen really withstand it? Don't worry, I believe Chenair will definitely be fine. It is you who should notify Dean Chu Weiken and him as soon as possible. The greater the probability that Chenair will survive. Although Qin Yuqi was extremely worried, she was the most clear-headed. Yes. Under Qin Yuqi's instructions, this group of city guards also seemed to have found their backbone, and calmed down one after another. Then, except for leaving 2 people to guard, the remaining people quickly dispersed and went to report. They deeply knew the truth of what Qin Yuqi said. Only by finding a strong person to come could they save young Master Chen. Chenair, I believe in you, you will definitely be alright. Clenching her hands tightly, Qin Yuqi looked at the location of the house filled with smoke and dust, secretly praying, her eyes incomparably firm. Zhao Dao was both happy and angry in his heart for having struck Qin Chen with a blade. He was happy because Qin Chen was finally killed by him, and he had recognized at a glance that the 3 flying knives that had previously blocked his blade light were young sect master Nian Wuji's true treasures. In other words, it was very likely that Nian Wuji was killed by this Qin Chen, and him killing Qin Chen was equivalent to making a great contribution. He was angry because, knowing that he was about to die, Qin Chen didn't know to dodge, and stubbornly insisted on being killed by him, even if it meant killing Elder Li Yang. This was something he couldn't understand no matter what. This child is really ruthless. Knowing that he is about to die, he also wants to drag someone down with him. Perhaps, he thought that with those 3 true treasure flying knives, he could block my attack and survive. It's really laughable. Zhao Dao shook his head. Heaven and earth collapse was one of the strongest killing moves of his demon prison blade technique. Not to mention a peak mid-stage heaven realm martial artist, even a profound realm expert of the same level might not be able to withstand it. He was certain that under this blade of his, Qin Chen would definitely be dead beyond dead, and even his corpse would have turned into dust. What a pity for Li Yang. Shaking his head, Zhao Dao turned around, his powerful perception locking onto Qin Yuqi and the others in the mansion. Since he had already made a move, then these few people would all have to die. Just as he was about to make a move, suddenly, in the dissipating smoke and dust, a figure slowly appeared, and a strong sense of crisis surrounded Zhao Dao's mind. What? Impossible. Zhao Dao's expression changed drastically. He saw Qin Chen holding a long sword. In the smoke and dust, Qin Chen's robes were quite tattered, even revealing the skin underneath, making him look quite disheveled. However, his body was intact. Not only had he not fallen, but even his limbs were completely intact, without any disabilities. This made Zhao Dao completely unable to believe his eyes. As expected, the undying saint body is indeed powerful. Driven by the 9 stars God Emperor Art's true energy, the attacks of ordinary mysterious level martial artists are actually unable to harm me. Qin Chen was pleasantly surprised in his heart. The undying saint body was the strongest body refinement technique he obtained in his previous life. In his previous life, Qin Chen was a figure of great renown in the martial domain. Although he was not a martial emperor, his abilities and influence were far greater than those of ordinary 9 heavens martial emperors. In particular, his identity as an 8th-tier bloodline royal and a 9th-tier emperor-level alchemist allowed him to command the winds and summon the rains in the martial domain. What techniques could he not obtain? And just how terrifying was the undying saint body, which was selected from among them? Only now was Qin Chen truly experiencing it. With his mid-stage heaven-level cultivation, a full-force strike from a peak early-stage mysterious-level martial artist was actually unable to harm him in the slightest. If this were to spread out, the entire heavenly martial continent would probably be shaken. However, all of this should also be attributed to the baptism of the spirit marrow liquid. Qin Chen exhaled a mouthful of turbid air. The spirit marrow liquid was a treasure that could be considered a treasure even in the martial domain. Its greatest effect was to transform a martial artist's physical body. It was precisely because of the baptism of this spirit marrow liquid that Qin Chen was able to break through the undying saint body to the 2nd level not long ago, allowing his physical strength to reach an unprecedented realm. While Qin Chen sighed with emotion, Zhao Dao was shocked in his heart. This is impossible. How can you, a heaven-level martial artist, block my heaven-collapsing earth-cleaving? Even if he were beaten to death, Zhao Dao would not dare to believe the scene before his eyes. This child must have some kind of protective treasure on him. Otherwise, it would be impossible to do this. However, protective treasures can often only protect the other party once. I don't believe this child can continue to survive. Boom. With a sway of his body, Zhao Dao could not afford to hesitate and slashed out again. Clang. The dazzling blade light swept across everything, and the ground was plowed into a gully nearly 10 feet deep. The heavenly light, towering between heaven and earth, rumbled and crushed down, unstoppable. Break. Qin Chen let out a low roar, and the mysterious rusty sword in his hand suddenly swept up, and a powerful sword intent swept out, slashing on the snow-bright blade light. With a boom and a crack, an astonishing explosion sounded again, and the strong force shook the entire earth, and smoke and dust rose again. It's useless. I don't believe you can withstand many of my attacks. Zhao Dao gritted his teeth, his face ferocious. After one strike was blocked, his expression did not change. He held the battle blade in both hands, 3 times to the left, 3 times to the right, 3 times above, and 3 times below. A total of 12 blade lights intertwined to form a large net, covering Qin Chen. Rumble. Smoke and dust filled the air, and Qin Chen was shrouded in terrifying blade light. The ground was cut open with countless crisscrossing knife marks. But when the smoke and dust dissipated, Qin Chen was still safe and sound. What the hell? Zhao Dao's scalp was numb with fear, and his soul was almost gone. He had clearly seen earlier that no treasure light had lit up on Qin Chen's body. It could be seen that the other party's ability to survive his attack was not based on protective treasures, but on truly terrifying physical defense. How can this child have such a terrifying physical body at such a young age? It's simply ghostly. Zhao Dao suppressed the shock in his heart and blurted out. The next moment and M dash, and M dash. Run. Whoosh. His figure turned into a stream of light and actually turned around to leave. He and Li Yang had come together to kill Qin Chen. Now, Li Yang was already dead, and Qin Chen's physical defense was so terrifying. Zhao Dao immediately had the intention to retreat. There was no need for him to entangle with Qin Chen here. He only needed to find the sect master, tell the truth, and let the sect master take action. With the sect master's terrifying strength, killing Qin Chen would be effortless. There was no need for him to fight to the death here. Want to leave? Can you leave? Qin Chen sneered and suddenly raised his hand. Buzz buzz buzz. The entire courtyard suddenly emitted a terrifying formation light. In an instant, the houses in front of Qin Yuqi and the others disappeared, and the entire mansion was shrouded in a layer of hazy white light. The white light was even more intense in the area where Qin Chen's house was located. Apart from the hazy light, there was no movement. The reason why Qin Chen was not in a hurry to kill Zhao Dao earlier was to secretly activate this courtyard protection formation. This formation was set up by him earlier to prevent Zhao Feng from sending people to assassinate him. He did not expect it to come in handy on the Ghost Immortal sect. Since he had previously exposed Nian Wuji's flying knife treasure, Qin Chen had no intention of letting Zhao Dao and the others return alive. HMPH, do you think a mere formation can stop me? Break it for me. Seeing that he was surrounded by the formation, Zhao Dao was not flustered. He held the battle blade in both hands, and infinite blade energy erupted from his body, slashing down with a fierce strike. Boom! A monstrous blade energy swept out, heavily slashing on the formation light cover in front. The corners of Zhao Dao's mouth curled into a cold smile. In his opinion, what kind of formation could Qin Chen, a heaven-level martial artist, activate? A third-tier formation was already the limit. But as a fourth-tier mysterious-level martial artist, a mere third-tier formation could not stop him at all. However, the next moment, Zhao Dao's expression froze. After his blade light slashed on the formation light cover, the entire light cover suddenly shook violently, but in an instant, it returned to calm, flowing freely, and was not damaged at all. A fourth-tier formation. Are you still a formation grandmaster? Zhao Dao's eyeballs were about to burst out, and his heart was shocked beyond compare. Damn Qian Feng and Ling Jung, they didn't investigate such important information. Are they trying to kill me? Zhao Dao hated Qian Feng and Ling Jung to death. With a third-tier heaven-level cultivation, he could activate a fourth-tier formation. If Qin Chen was not a formation grandmaster, then what was he? Such important information should have been investigated long ago. Now that such an ability suddenly emerged, Zhao Dao was about to go crazy. Those two idiots. Cursing in his heart, Zhao Dao also knew that it was impossible to escape. For the present plan, he could only kill Qin Chen. As long as Qin Chen died, the great formation in front of him would naturally collapse. Qin Chen, it seems we all underestimated you. You hid it so well. In that case, our young sect master, Nian Wuji, was also killed by you. Zhao Dao calmed down, staring at Qin Chen with a wary look. At this point, he was able to calm down instead, and was only fighting to the death. Qin Chen's abilities had all been exposed. Although the other party had killed Li Yang before, as long as he was careful, it would not be so easy to kill him. What do you think? But your ghost immortal sect actually dared to kill to the Great Qi Kingdom's capital. Your courage is really not small. Qin Chen frowned. The Great Qi Kingdom was at least one of the 5 great powers, and Nian Wuji died in a normal trial. Even if the Ghost Immortal sect was angry, they would not dare to kill to the Great Qi Kingdom's capital, right? Qin Chen had thought so before, but the reality surprised him. The Ghost Immortal sect's actions were arrogantly surprising. HMPH. So what if you kill your way to the Great Qi Kingdom? Does the royal family of the Great Qi Kingdom dare to start a war with our Ghost Immortal sect? It's you who has a lot of nerve, killing the young sect master Nian Wuji and framing Qin Feng, misleading our sect master. Zhao Dao didn't believe that Qin Chen was completely unharmed. His devil prison blade contained a terrifyingly evil artistic conception. Even if the opponent could block the physical attack of the blade's light, they couldn't stop the invasion of the blade's intent. These powers, like maggots on bones, would slowly erode and corrode the opponent's true energy. By then, with the opponent's 3rd level true energy, they would be unable to resist. So, there are more than just the 2 of you from the Ghost Immortal sect. Even your sect master has come. Looking for Qin Feng. Qin Chen's eyes flashed, guessing a lot of things. While speaking, the true energy within his body circulated, clearing away the blade energy that had previously surged into his body, leaving not a trace. Qin Chen cultivated the 9-star God Emperor art, a technique whose level even he couldn't discern in his previous life. The purity of his true energy was astonishing, there was nothing it couldn't clear away. Not to mention just a bit of blade energy intent, even true blade intent couldn't bring him harm. Trying to trick me. Zhao Dao's expression darkened, realizing that Qin Chen had actually tricked him into revealing some information. However, he wasn't worried. Instead, he sneered, knowing that the sect master was also present. This kid would definitely become anxious, even fearful. When the battle started, his inner turmoil would naturally create more openings. Moreover, your cultivation is only at the middle stage of the heaven realm. Even if you cultivate a powerful body refinement technique, it must be very energy consuming. Your true energy must be almost exhausted now. Zhao Dao grinned sinisterly. In fact, Zhao Dao was not only powerful but also very perceptive. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to commit so many evil deeds in the martial world without being killed. And now, his seemingly casual conversation with Qin Chen was actually an attempt to create invisible pressure on Qin Chen at all times. Once a person panics, they naturally can't unleash their full combat power during a fight. You can try. If it were an ordinary martial artist, they might have been thrown into disarray by Zhao Dao, but who was Qin Chen? Zhao Dao's words didn't bring even the slightest ripple to his mind. Try. Just try. Devil prison blade, wrathful slash to seal the heavens. Zhao Dao was very insidious, thinking that Qin Chen was pretending to be calm. As he spoke, before his voice even faded, he had already unleashed a slash. The bright blade light was unstoppable, instantly arriving before Qin Chen. Break. Qin Chen raised the mysterious rusty sword and slashed out. Poof. The sword light and blade light collided, annihilating each other. The intense shockwave swept out, shattering the surrounding collapsed tiles into dust. If it weren't for the protection of the surrounding formation, the aftermath could have even collapsed the entire mansion. Profound realm martial artists are the top combat power of a country and are not to be trifled with. Let's see how long you can last. Zhao Dao made it clear that he wanted to exhaust Qin Chen's true energy, and wave after wave of blade light continuously poured out, bombarding Qin Chen from afar. Profound realm martial artists can attack with true force separated from their bodies, creating terrifying blade and sword lights without weakening much of their power. This is because true force is more condensed and stable than true energy. However, heaven realm martial artists are not so comfortable. If they were to use ranged attacks, the power would definitely be greatly reduced, which would not be worth the loss. How is it? Feeling uncomfortable, right? Ha ha ha. Let's see how long you can last. Unleashing blade lights from afar, the violent blade rays were like missile barrages, constantly bombarding Qin Chen. He didn't dare to get too close to Qin Chen. Qin Chen's mental storm left him with lingering fear. Li Yang was also struck by the mental storm, falling into a daze and unable to resist, which allowed Qin Chen to kill him. Otherwise, how could Qin Chen have killed Li Yang with a single sword strike with his strength? You're thinking too much. Qin Chen couldn't help but chuckle. Zhao Dao thought that his true energy was almost exhausted, but in fact, he, who cultivated the 9-star God Emperor art, had several times more abundant true energy than ordinary martial artists. How could it be so easily exhausted? Otherwise, the 9-star God Emperor art would not have been regarded by him as a technique that surpassed the heaven realm. Go. Since Zhao Dao wanted to play, then he would play with him. Pinching a hand seal, Qin Chen controlled the true treasure flying knives, shooting them towards Zhao Dao. The 3 true treasure flying knives seemed to possess life, incomparably agile, rapidly moving through the sky full of blade lights, piercing towards Zhao Dao's weaknesses and vital points. What? You can still activate the true treasure flying knives at this time? Zhao Dao was greatly startled. What kind of monster is this? Not only does he have to resist his attacks and control the formation, but now he can even use his mental power to activate the true treasure flying knives. Does such a monster exist in this world? Normal martial artists can only focus on one thing at a time. Being able to focus on 2 things at once is already very remarkable. It's very rare to be able to control several things at the same time like Qin Chen. At least Zhao Dao admits that he can't do it. That's not all. The key is that the flying knives controlled by Qin Chen are very flexible and free, constantly avoiding his blade light attacks, and the attacked positions are all his weaknesses and vital points. This is definitely not something that can be done with casual manipulation. Blade Yuan body protection. The black battle blade transformed into a semicircle, condensing into an arc-shaped blade light barrier in front of Zhao Dao. Bang! 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 The 3 flying knives all struck the barrier, stirring up layers of ripples. A terrifying energy passed through the shield, shaking Zhao Dao back 2 steps. His throat felt sweet, and he almost spat out blood. How can it be so powerful? Zhao Dao was horrified and depressed to the point of almost vomiting blood, and his whole person was about to go crazy. Good opportunity. Qin Chen seized the opportunity and charged up with his sword. Bang! Zhao Dao hurriedly resisted. Under the violent shock, the terrifying sword intent swept over, sending him flying back several steps again, blood spilling from the corner of his mouth, and the true force within his body surging. He took a deep breath and was just about to adjust his inner breath and suppress the boiling blood when whoosh whoosh whoosh, the 3 true treasure flying knives had already swept over again, forcing him to raise his knife to resist. Damn it! Zhao Dao was about to collapse. Under the continuous attacks, he was caught off guard and could only retreat and resist. How much true energy does this kid have? Why doesn't he feel tired at all? Zhao Dao was depressed. Even he himself felt a little overwhelmed, and the true force within his body was quite depleted, but the other party was still vigorous. If he could, he would have dropped his knife and ran away long ago, but he couldn't. Good opportunity. Mental storm. Qin Chen had been looking for an opportunity. Seeing Zhao Dao's eyes flickering and his spirit momentarily dazed, he immediately unleashed a mental storm. Buzz. His mind went dizzy, and Zhao Dao's eyes fell into a daze. Not good. His heart was horrified. He bit the tip of his tongue fiercely, and his remaining will made him roar madly, eager to regain his clarity. The illusion in front of him dissipated, and what Zhao Dao saw was a sword light that was dazzling to the extreme. No. Poochie. The sword light flashed, and a head with wide eyes soared into the sky, blood splashing 3 zhang away. If he could choose, Zhao Dao would never have chosen to come and kill Qin Chen, but it was too late. Glug. The blood-soaked head rolled to the ground, Zhao Dao's eyes wide, not resting in peace. Huff. Profound-level martial artists are really troublesome. Letting out a long breath, Qin Chen finally relaxed. If it weren't for the fact that he had broken through to the mid-stage of the heaven level not long ago in the GE family, and his soul power and spiritual power had greatly increased, completing the first level of the spiritual secret technique, the myriad gods technique, the spiritual storm, it would definitely not have been so easy to kill these 2 elders of the ghost immortal sect. Even so, Qin Chen's expression was still not very good. I didn't expect that the Ghost Immortal sect would dare to come to the capital of the Great Qi Kingdom for the sake of Tianwu Ji. According to what that guy said earlier, the Ghost Immortal sect master and the others went to the Qin family. It may not be long before they come looking for me. With the status of the Ghost Immortal sect, their sect master is at least like the spirit martial King Xiao Zhan, a peak late-stage profound-level martial artist. I'm afraid it will be a bit troublesome. Frowning tightly, Qin Chen quickly pondered in his mind. There is a difference of 2 minor levels between a peak late-stage profound-level expert and a peak early-stage profound-level expert. The difference in strength is not just a little bit. If the Ghost Immortal sect master really comes, with Qin Chen's current cultivation, it will definitely be very troublesome to deal with. I have to think of a way. Now Qin Chen only hates that his cultivation is too low. If he were also a profound-level martial artist, how could he take the Ghost Immortal sect master seriously? Moreover, he may not fear the other party, but his mother is here, and she will definitely be implicated. This is what Qin Chen is most worried about. While thinking in his heart, Qin Chen casually took the storage rings of Zhao Dao and Li Yang. I wonder how much wealth a profound-level martial artist will have. With his spiritual power penetrating into them, everything in the 2 storage rings instantly appeared before Qin Chen's eyes. The wealth in Zhao Dao's storage ring is quite ordinary. Among them, there are more than 200 low-grade true stones. Mid-grade true stones, 7 or 8. That's not much more than Tianwu Ji. Qin Chen shook his head. However, besides that, there are many other treasures. Such as materials. There are 7 or 8 kinds of 4th-order materials, namely sky meteorite iron, top-grade fire cloud stone, fist-sized black stone, and so on. Sky meteorite iron is a rare material for refining treasure weapons, with extremely high strength and great value. The same is true for fire cloud stone. Top-grade fire cloud stone has excellent compatibility with fire-type true energy. It itself contains a very terrifying fire-type power. Once it erupts, it is enough to seriously injure a profound-level martial artist, let alone be refined into a treasure weapon. As for black stone, it is a good material for refining array discs. Array disc. In Qin Chen's mind, a flash of inspiration suddenly flashed. That's right. If the Ghost Immortal sect really comes in force, there will definitely be many experts. At that time, no matter how strong I am, I will be overwhelmed, let alone protect my mother. But if I set up a large number of formations in this mansion. Qin Chen raised his eyebrows. This is not impossible. Because in order to prevent Zhao Feng from attacking and harming his mother, he had already set up some basic formations around the mansion. Now, he has so many materials, and the key is that he has so many true stones, which can quickly set up some simple formations. If the people from the Ghost Immortal sect dare to come, I believe that with my formation skills, even if I can't keep them all, I can at least give them a big loss. Thinking of this, Qin Chen quickly searched the 2 people's storage rings. In addition to the 4th-order materials, there are also many 3rd-order materials in Li Yang's storage ring, as well as many high-level spiritual medicines. There are even many secret books and silver notes. However, Qin Chen did not carefully count these, but quickly searched Li Yang's storage ring. There are so many mid-grade true stones. The treasures in Li Yang's storage ring are obviously better than Zhao Dao's. Among them, there are more than 300 low-grade true stones. There are nearly 20 mid-grade true stones. With these mid-grade true stones, I will be more confident. Qin Chen was overjoyed. The hastily arranged formation will definitely have many loopholes. The energy power stimulated by the low-grade true stones is too weak. Only the energy stimulated by the mid-grade true stones can cause damage to the profound-level martial artists. Therefore, the more mid-grade true stones there are, the greater the power of the formation will be. In this way, it can deter the other party. In addition to true stones, other treasures such as materials are also better in Li Yang's storage ring. Not to mention anything else, there are more than 10 kinds of 4th-order materials alone. Among them, there are also top-quality 4th-order materials. This is star sand. At the same time, Qin Chen also saw a jar of silver sand shimmering like stars in Li Yang's storage ring. Star sand is an excellent material for refining array discs. Array discs with star sand are easier to activate and the power is easier to stimulate. In addition, there are also many elixirs, spiritual medicines and other treasures in Li Yang's storage ring, and even a top-grade 4th-grade healing elixir. It's a pity that he died too quickly just now and didn't have time to take it. Li Yang's wealth is more than Zhao Dao's, which is easy to understand. Li Yang is older after all, and it has been longer since he reached the peak of the early stage of the profound level. Over the years, his cultivation has reached a bottleneck. If he wants to break through, it is definitely not enough to just accumulate true power. More importantly, he needs to understand. So he can save any true stones and treasures. But Zhao Dao is obviously much younger, and may still be in the growth period of cultivation, so he will definitely exchange any good things with others, and once he gets true stones or something, he will use it for cultivation. I must hurry up. After counting the storage rings, Qin Chen restrained the formation and walked out. Outside the formation, seeing that there was no movement in the place shrouded in white light, everyone's hearts were raised. Why is there no movement? Is the battle over? How is young Master Chen? Will something happen? What nonsense are you talking about? How could something happen to young Master Chen? The 2 city guards who were left behind couldn't help but open their mouths uneasily, each with an anxious expression. Beside them, Qin Yuqi calmed down instead. The formation hasn't been broken, which means that Chinair is definitely fine. Otherwise, this formation will definitely lose its vitality if no one controls it. However, just as Qin Yuqi finished speaking, the light of the formation in the entire courtyard suddenly dimmed. Everyone's hearts tightened, and then they saw a figure walking out from where Qin Chen's original house was. Who else could it be but Qin Chen? Young Master Chen, are you okay? That's great. I said that something couldn't happen to young Master Chen. Seeing Qin Chen walking out, everyone breathed a sigh of relief. Chinair. Qin Yuqi also quickly walked up, looking worried. Mother, I made you worry. Qin Chen smiled wryly. Young Master Chen, what exactly is going on? How could there be profound-level martial artists to assassinate you? The 2 city guards asked with concern. Qin Yuqi also looked over anxiously. They are 2 inner elders from the Ghost Immortal sect, Qin Chen said. Ghost Immortal sect, and inner elders. Everyone was stunned. They thought I killed the young sect master, so they sent people to assassinate me. Moreover, the Ghost Immortal sect's master is also in the royal capital and should have gone to the Qin family. The Ghost Immortal sect's master. The 2 city guards simultaneously gasped. To them, a sect master from a sect like the Ghost Immortal sect was a behemoth. The difference was too great, and they could only look up to them on ordinary days. If they really came to kill, who could resist? Unless it was Xiao Zhan, the spirit martial king, known as the #1 expert in the Great Qi Kingdom, and even then, he might only be able to resist. Our Great Qi Kingdom is, after all, one of the 5 strongest countries in the Northwest. His Majesty shouldn't allow him to act recklessly, right? The eyes of the 2 city guards flashed. Qin Chen was the most outstanding genius of the Great Qi Kingdom. If he was killed in the royal capital by the Ghost Immortal sect, what face would the Great Qi Kingdom have in the 5 Northwest countries in the future? Perhaps Qin Chen wasn't so optimistic. The Ghost Immortal sect's master certainly wasn't an idiot. He wouldn't have taken action so openly without some confidence. By the way, what about those 2 assassins? The 2 city guards couldn't help but crane their necks to look. To survive from the hands of 2 inner elders of the Ghost Immortal sect, young Master Chen was too amazing. They're already dead, Qin Chen said indifferently. Dead. The 2 gasped, their eyes bulging, completely stunned. 2 Xuan-level experts came to assassinate young Master Chen, and they actually died. The 2 stared at Qin Chen, almost going crazy. Even with the help of the formation, young Master Chen was too abnormal, right? All right. I have something I need you to do. You two, immediately inform Prince Kang and have him meet with His Majesty to explain the situation, Qin Chen said solemnly. He killed Nian Wuji to save Zizun, and Zhao Gao should not stand idly by. Yes. The 2 regained their senses, knowing that the situation was urgent, and quickly turned and left. Chinair, the situation is critical now. According to what you said, the Ghost Immortal sect's master is also in the royal capital. If he knows that the assassination here has failed, he will definitely take action himself. We must leave here quickly and find a safer place, Qin Yuqi said solemnly after the two city guards left. A safer place? Where can we go? Qin Chen said with a wry smile. Prince Kang's mansion, the Pill Pavilion, the Bloodline Holy Land, or the palace? Qin Yuqi said. It's useless. Qin Chen shook his head. Although I don't know how strong the Ghost Immortal sect is, since it's called the top sect in the northwest, it must have its advantages. Although the places you mentioned are strong, I can't make others fight the Ghost Immortal sect for us, and since the other party has the courage to come to our door, they must have made preparations and won't let us get through this safely. Since the Ghost Immortal sect has taken action, they must have prepared a foolproof plan. Otherwise, how dare they break into the royal capital of the Great Qi Kingdom? You must know that the Ghost Immortal sect's entry into the royal capital to kill people is equivalent to openly slapping the Great Qi Kingdom in the face. If Zhao Gao was ruthless and decisive, mobilizing all the experts in the entire royal city to surround and kill the people of the Ghost Immortal sect, wouldn't it be possible to destroy the entire sect once the sect master and other experts were all killed? After all, sects and countries are different. Once the top sect master and other strong people die, the entire sect is like a plate of loose sand, and the people scatter when the tree falls, becoming naked lambs waiting to be slaughtered. Therefore, since the other party has the courage to come, they couldn't have not considered these situations. Moreover, the Pill Pavilion and other places are terrifying and have a transcendent status in the Great Qi Kingdom only because they have a strong background, not because the Pill Pavilion has experts who can fight against the entire Great Qi Kingdom. Otherwise, the title of the #1 expert in the Great Qi Kingdom wouldn't have fallen on Xiao Zhan, the Spirit Martial King. Although Xiao Ya and the others are strong, I'm afraid they are not the Ghost Immortal sect master's opponents. If I hide there, I'll only be leading the disaster to the Pill Pavilion. Moreover, my affairs, Qin Chen's affairs, will not involve anyone else. If the Ghost Immortal sect wants to kill me, then let them come and kill me. A cold light shot out from his eyes, and Qin Chen's gaze was unprecedentedly firm. He would bear his own affairs, and Qin Chen would not think of relying on others to escape this difficulty. The most important thing is, who knows if the Ghost Immortal sect has ambushes outside? Once I go out, it's equivalent to losing my reliance. Perhaps with my cultivation, even if I'm ambushed, I have a certain probability of escaping, but what about my mother? But staying here, at least I have the formation I set up earlier to rely on. It won't be so easy for the Ghost Immortal sect to attack. Mother, don't say any more. The situation is urgent now, and I must hurry up and set up more formations. You must protect yourself. Once someone comes, you must stay in your room and never take risks. Qin Chen hurriedly interrupted when he saw that Qin Yuqi wanted to say something. Now time was of the essence, and he didn't have much time to waste. Entering the formation, Qin Chen set the formation in the mansion to the activated state and quickly took out many materials to make formation plates. At this moment, his spirit was highly concentrated, his powerful mental power was rapidly condensing, and his hands were like phantoms, constantly sweeping out dazzling traces. If a formation master saw Qin Chen's actions at this moment, they would be shocked. The refinement of formation plates must be done in a specific environment and is a long process. For Qin Chen to refine a large number of formations in a short period of time and set them up, it was simply like a fool's dream, almost impossible to complete. Po Qian, do you see that? This is our child, full of spirit, almost exactly like you back then. Looking at Qin Chen walking into the hazy formation, Qin Yuqi's eyes were moist, and she couldn't help but mutter to herself. Then, in her eyes, a group of unprecedented brilliance burst out, her fists clenched tightly, and her eyes were firm. Don't worry, I will never let anyone hurt our Qinair. Biting her teeth, what came out of Qin Yuqi's eyes was a mother's determination. At this time, not far from Qin Chen's mansion, Zhao Zhen and a group of people had already arrived, led by Zhao Feng, in a mighty manner. In the distance, they could already see the gate of Qin Chen's mansion from afar. Father, this is where Qin Chen and his mother live, Zhao Feng gritted his teeth. Just seeing the mansion where the two lived, a sense of inexplicable anger arose, and she hated it so much that her teeth itched. Oh, they live here. Zhao Zhen frowned. Walking along the way, how could he not know that the west of the city was simply a slum? That Qin Yuqi, although she was the #1 genius in the royal capital back then, after eloping with someone, for some reason, she lost all her cultivation and became a cripple. Over the years, she has relied on the Qin family to survive. Now that they have been kicked out of the Qin family, they have no survival skills. Being able to live in this kind of place is already considered lucky. Moreover, as far as I know, they were able to buy a mansion here. It seems to be Qin Yuanzi's support. Otherwise, what savings could that bitch have on her own? Zhao Feng sneered repeatedly, her eyes full of disdain. Zhao Feng looked down on Qin Yuqi with utter contempt. Back then, she eloped to escape her marriage, leaving the Great Qi Kingdom without permission, incurring the emperor's wrath and bringing great disaster to the Qin family. That wouldn't have been so bad, but after several years, she shamelessly returned with an illegitimate child, causing the Qin family to lose face in the capital and become the laughingstock of the entire Great Qi Kingdom. If it were only because of these things, Zhao Feng wouldn't have been so unable to accept it. However, what she couldn't stand the most was that even so, Qin Yuqi was still deeply loved by the old master Qin Beishan. Whether it was the courtyard she lived in or any good things, she always got her share. Even Qin Chen was doted on by the old master. She, Zhao Feng, was the mistress of the Qin family, the daughter of the Lingnan Zhao family. What status was that? Marrying into the Qin family, she had also given birth to 2 sons for the Qin family, among whom the eldest son, Qin Feng, was the #1 genius in the capital. In her opinion, when the old master Qin Beishan passed away, the entire Qin family would belong to her 2 sons. However, the existence of Qin Yuqi and Qin Chen made her very unhappy, believing that her 2 sons were threatened. That's why she had been so aggressive all along. Sure enough, Qin Chen, that ingrate who couldn't be raised to be grateful, crippled Fener in the Sky Star Academy's year-end exam, and even severed Feng's right arm in the preliminary round of the 5 Nations Grand Competition. At this moment, all that Zhao Feng felt in her heart was hatred. She hated herself for not crippling this mother and son duo 10 years ago, so that things wouldn't have come to this point today. Father, Qin Chen and Qin Yuqi should be at home now. Let's go there quickly and take action early to eliminate future troubles. Biting her teeth, Zhao Feng's eyes were filled with resentment. Nodding, Zhao Zhen immediately led Zhao Feng and others to the mansion where Qin Chen was located. At this time, Qin family mansion. A group of imposing experts were standing proudly and coldly at the gate of the Qin family. It was a group of experts from the Ghost Immortal sect. Sect Master, do you think that Zhao Gao really won't interfere in this matter? After all, the people we are going to deal with are his Great Qi Kingdom's citizens. A Ghost Immortal sect elder couldn't help but speak. The leading Ghost Immortal sect master, Nian Shuo, smiled coldly. This sect master has already informed Zhao Gao of the stakes involved. If he still dares to obstruct, this sect master doesn't mind making a scene in this so-called Great Qi Kingdom capital. Nian Shuo looked at Ling Jung beside him with contempt and said, "You, go up and smash the door." Yes. Ling Jung nodded, walked out of the crowd, and walked straight to the gate of the Qin family mansion. Who is it? What is the purpose of coming to my Qin mansion? The 2 guards at the gate of the Qin family had actually been paying attention to Nian Shuo and his group for a long time, but feeling the terrifying aura on the other party, the 2 guards did not reprimand or drive them away. Now seeing someone walking towards the Qin family mansion, they had no choice but to ask. Prince Dingwu's mansion. Hey hey. Ling Jung glanced at the plaque at the gate of the mansion and couldn't help but sneer, and then suddenly raised his hand. Boom. A terrifying aura swept out, directly hitting the plaque of Prince Dingwu's mansion. Before the 2 guards could react, the entire plaque had exploded with a bang, turning into wood chips scattered. You. Bold. The 2 guards were completely stunned, and then became furious. The plaque of Prince Dingwu's mansion was bestowed by the late emperor of the Great Qi Kingdom. Although it only had a history of several decades, no one had ever dared to act wildly in the Qin family for so many years. They never expected that these guys would be so bold, directly smashing the plaque without saying a word. Who exactly are you people? How dare you come to my Prince Dingwu's mansion to act wildly? If you don't explain clearly today, don't even think about living. Whoosh. Releasing their aura, even when facing the ghost immortal sect elder, the two guards still did not flinch in the slightest, and shouted angrily. Who are we? Ling Jun smiled coldly, a sharp glint flashed in his eyes, and suddenly slammed a palm towards the two guards. The two guards' cultivation was only at the late stage of the Earth Realm peak. Although they were not weak, how could they withstand Ling Jun's attack? With two bangs, they were directly sent flying out, heavily falling on the steps at the entrance. Let Qin Feng of your Qin family come out and die. The rumbling roar, like thunder, directly echoed outside the Qin family mansion. Who are these people? They dare to make a big fuss outside Prince Dingwu's mansion. Are they courting death? The arrival of Nian Shuo and the others attracted not only the two guards of the Qin family. At the same time, there were also many people in the neighborhood of the entire street. At first, they were just puzzled, but when they saw Ling Jun daring to smash the Qin family plaque, they were all dumbfounded, and when Ling Jun shouted that sentence, everyone was stunned. Who are these people? They are too bold, right? Not only are they provoking the Qin family, but they also want the Qin family's eldest son to come out and die. Are they trying to defy the heavens? Everyone was shocked, feeling that their minds couldn't turn around. What is the status of the Qin family? The number one military meritorious family in the Great Qi Kingdom, in the capital, it is one of the top forces. Since Prince Dingwu Qin Beishan rose to prominence, no one had ever dared to be arrogant at the Qin family's door. But now, this is going to be a big deal. Even the most idiot people understood that something big was going to happen today. And this angry shout also clearly entered the Qin family mansion. Everyone in the Qin family mansion was alarmed. Although Qin Yuansheng was not there, and Qin Yuanzi was also not there were still many elders sitting in the Qin family, each of them with cracked canthus, furious, and rushed out one after another. Who is it? How dare you act wildly in my Qin family? With a roar, an old man with white hair rushed out first. This man was dressed in gorgeous clothes and had an extraordinary aura. He was the second elder of the Qin family, and also the main figure who expelled Qin Chen and Qin Yuqi back then. As soon as he came out, he released a terrifying aura, looking at Nian Shuo and others with anger, and after seeing the two guards lying on the ground, he was even more angry and trembling, with a terrifying murderous aura bursting out in his eyes. What exactly is going on? Looking at the two guards, the second elder was extremely furious. Second elder, these guys don't know where they came from. As soon as they came, they smashed the plaque that our late emperor bestowed upon our Qin family, and also injured us, asking us to hand over young master Qin Feng. Seeing the second elder, the two guards seemed to have seen their backbone, and hurriedly cried out. What? Our Qin family's plaque? The second elder was shocked and hurriedly looked up, only to see that the plaque hanging above the Qin family was long gone, and on the ground, there were only scattered wood chips. Old man, who are you? Let Qin Feng of your Qin family come out and die. Seeing an old man running out and talking nonsense, Ling Jun couldn't help but frown and sneered. You're courting death. Boom. The second elder couldn't bear it any longer and slapped Ling Jun. Yo. With this palm strike, terrifying true energy condensed, instantly transforming into a giant eagle. This true energy eagle, with its massive size and terrifying aura, flapped its wings, its eyes flashing with fierce light. Its claws, like gold and iron, fiercely grabbed towards Ling Jun. It's the second elder's eagle transformation palm. The second elder's eagle transformation palm is his signature move. Decades ago, it was already terrifying, having killed many martial artists. Now that he uses it, it's even more frightening. He has definitely reached a state of perfection. Let's see how that guy withstands it. Let him act wildly in our Qin family. Seeing this, the two guards revealed joy, and their confidence soared. The surrounding people also exclaimed in surprise. Qin Feng, the second elder of the Qin family, was quite famous in the royal capital back then. He followed Qin Beishan in battles and made great contributions, and was granted the title of General Chechi. Unfortunately, when he was 40 years old, he was injured in the right leg during a major battle, leaving him with a hidden ailment. From then on, he retired from the military and lived idly at home. However, his martial arts cultivation has never declined. Decades have passed, and his cultivation has not broken through the profound level, but in the peak heaven level realm, he has reached an extreme. Even ordinary profound level early stage martial artists dare to compete with him. Now that he makes a move, he immediately demonstrates his profound cultivation, attracting many exclamations from the surrounding people. To act wildly in my Qin family is to seek death. Second elder Qin Feng's expression was ferocious, his eyes flashing with cold light, and the true energy in his body was pushed to the extreme. Regardless of who the other party is, or what their purpose is in coming to the Qin family, simply daring to smash the Qin family's plaque is a capital crime, unforgivable. He could already imagine the scene of the other party being seriously injured by his palm, begging for mercy in pain. However, in the next moment, second elder Qin Feng's expression suddenly changed. This is the so-called meritorious family of the Great Qi Kingdom, the strength of the dignified Qin family. How laughable! Ling Jun only smiled coldly, and then stretched out a palm. Amazing true power gathered in his palm, and then turned into a circular cyclone. This cyclone was pitch black, and emitted a terrifying aura as it spun rapidly. He punched it out. Yo! A shrill scream rang out. The true energy eagle displayed by Qin Feng was unable to resist the terrifying rotating force and shattered into pieces in an instant. At the same time, an astonishing spiral force broke through the void and poured into Qin Feng's body. What? The true energy shield on Qin Feng's body shattered instantly, and his whole body flew backwards in a sorry state, spitting out a mouthful of blood in midair. Boom! His body slammed heavily on the gate behind him, and the entire Qin family gate shattered instantly. Second elder, Qin Feng. Swish, swish, swish. Sounds of exclamation rang out, and figures quickly rushed out from the Qin family mansion. They were the many Qin family experts who had been alarmed earlier. As soon as they came up, they saw Qin Feng being blasted away, and their bodies trembled in shock, shouting in anger. Be careful, this person is a profound level martial artist. Spitting out a mouthful of blood, Qin Feng's face was pale, and he was ashamed, wishing he could find a crack in the ground to crawl into. A profound level martial artist. All the Qin family members were shocked and looked at Ling Jun in horror. Ling Jun revealed a look of disdain, glanced at the Qin family members who had arrived, and couldn't help but frown. Where is Qin Feng? Why hasn't he come out yet? Could he be a coward hiding his head in his shell? Ling Jun's arrogant expression made all the Qin family disciples feel aggrieved and their eyes were almost spitting fire with anger. When has the dignified Qin family ever been humiliated like this? This is the first time in the Qin family's history. Who exactly are you? Gritting his teeth, the third elder of the Qin family couldn't help but shout angrily. The profound level martial artists of the Great Qi Kingdom are all well-known figures. With the Qin family's status and position, there is almost no one they don't know. But the group in front of them was very unfamiliar, and he had never seen them before, which made him feel alert and suspicious. You are not worthy to know who I am. Tell Qin Feng to get out quickly. Ling Jun's face sank. Our purpose in this trip is only to kill Qin Feng. We have no connection with your Qin family. However, if you are stubborn and refuse to hand over Qin Feng, then don't blame this old man for being ruthless and killing you all here. As soon as the words fell, Ling Jun's body burst out with terrifying killing intent. The strong killing intent was like a mountain, fiercely suppressing the Qin family members. The Qin family members all had pale faces and horrified expressions. The timing of the other party's arrival was too coincidental. At this time, the strongest members of the Qin family were not present, and a profound level martial artist was enough to make them change color. How dare you? The third elder was so angry that he was shaking and about to explode. The other people were also dumbfounded. Killing all the Qin family members here, what kind of background do these guys have that they dare to say such a thing? You must know that in the Great Qi Kingdom, the Qin family is like a mountain. Not to mention ordinary forces, even the royal family would not dare to speak to the Qin family like this. It seems that you few will not shed tears until you see the coffin. Very well, let's see if this old man dares. With a flash of his figure, Ling Jun instantly turned into a bolt of lightning and slapped the third elder of the Qin family with his palm. You. The third elder of the Qin family's body shook violently. In shock, he quickly circulated the true energy in his body, trying to resist the opponent's attack. But it was useless. Before his body-protecting true energy could form, the opponent's attack had already arrived. With a bang, the body-protecting true energy on his body shattered, and an astonishing force rushed over, causing the third elder to vomit blood and fly backwards. One palm injured the third elder of the Qin family. Ling Jun did not give up. A trace of stern light flashed in his eyes, and his figure followed closely. You were the most talkative just now, so I will sacrifice you first. His 5 fingers pierced through the air, bursting out strands of true power, like 5 sharp blades, stabbing fiercely towards the third elder's head. Third elder. All the Qin family disciples exclaimed, their eyes were tearing apart, and they were about to burst with blood. If this attack lands, with the third elder's peak late-stage heaven-level cultivation, his head will definitely be pierced with 5 finger holes, and he will die on the spot. Your Excellency, what hatred or grievance does my Qin family have with you that you would use such a deadly hand? At this critical moment, a cold voice rang out. From the Qin family mansion, a figure suddenly rushed out and slapped Ling Jun's palm, instantly blocking his attack. Thump, thump, thump. A strong impact came, and Ling Jun took a few steps back. His brows furrowed, but his expression became even more ferocious. An even more terrifying aura rose from his body and slapped towards the figure that suddenly rushed out. What kind of hero is it to attack in secret? Humph. The old man snorted coldly, his eyes flashing with fierce light. You are a profound-level martial artist, slaughtering my Qin family disciples, and you call yourself a hero. Get back where you came from. In the midst of the explosive shout, the old man suddenly punched out, and the strong fist force turned into a hurricane, completely enveloping Ling Jun's palm force. Ha! Ling Jun's expression changed, and a sense of crisis suddenly arose in his heart, instantly driving the true power in his body to the extreme. But it was useless. With a bang, his palm power shattered in an instant, and a terrifying force struck his chest, sending him flying. A trace of blood slowly trickled down from the corner of his mouth. Grand Elder. Seeing this person, many disciples of the Qin family revealed ecstasy and exclaimed. The person who came was Qin Chen, the Grand Elder of the Qin family, and also the only profound-level martial artist in the Qin family's current residence. With Qin Chen's arrival, the Qin family suddenly seemed to have a backbone, and their spirits were lifted. Everyone, don't worry, not just anyone can come to the Qin family and run wild. Waving his hand, Qin Chen told everyone to relax, while staring at Nian Shuo and the others, his eyes revealing deep solemnity. Qin Feng and the others couldn't see much because of their low cultivation, but Qin Chen, as a profound-level martial artist, could see at a glance that the old man who had attacked earlier was not the strongest among them. The ones he truly feared were the few who had been watching coldly from behind. The aura on these people was extremely terrifying, even more so than the old man who had attacked earlier. Especially the middle-aged man in the lead, he couldn't see through his cultivation at all. Just standing there gave him a strong sense of oppression. He had only felt this kind of feeling from Xiao, the #1 powerhouse in the Great Qi Kingdom. When did my Qin family provoke such a great enemy? With a stern look in his heart, Qin Chen's expression remained unchanged, and he said coldly, everyone, this old man is Qin Chen, the Grand Elder of the Qin family. I wonder how Qin Feng has offended you, to make you make such a big fuss. To attack my Qin family like this. If you don't give my Qin family an explanation today, my Qin family, which has stood in the Great Qi Kingdom for so many years, is definitely not a false reputation. Qin Chen's words made everyone present feel uplifted. As expected of the Grand Elder of the Qin family, his prestige has not diminished in the past. Useless trash, you can't even handle this little thing well. Nian Shuo glanced at Ling Jun coldly, scaring Ling Jun's body to tremble, and cold sweat broke out on his back. I don't care what Grand Elder or Little Elder you are, hand over Qin Feng immediately. If you don't hand him over, your Qin family will be waiting for annihilation today. Nian Shuo sneered, too lazy to pay attention to Qin Kanyun. You. Impudent. Bold. Too arrogant. Simply lawless. The Qin family members were furious, and each of them was so angry that smoke was coming out of their 7 orifices. Who are these people? They talk about exterminating families at every turn. Do they really think they are invincible? It seems that you are not prepared to talk properly. Qin Kanyun frowned. Talk your sister. A powerhouse from the Ghost Immortal sect, with a violent temper, suddenly rushed out. This man had dark skin and a body like an iron tower. As soon as he rushed out, he threw a punch. Only a loud bang was heard, and a thunderclap exploded in the air. The black iron fist swept towards Qin Kanyun like a hurricane. Boom! Qin Kanyun hurriedly took action to intercept, and his body shook. He took a few steps back, and his face turned red and white. HMPH, that's all, take a few more punches from me. The Iron Tower man revealed a ferocious smile and swept out his fists wildly. Only the rumbling sound continued, and the strong energy forced everyone nearby to retreat. Looking up, they saw that Qin Kanyun was completely enveloped by the black fist energy, as if he were a bird trapped in a cage. What terrifying power! Amidst the fist power, Qin Kanyun's face was solemn. He didn't dare to be careless, and he frantically urged the true power in his body, trying to block the opponent's fist style. However, the opponent's attack was too strong, like a surging river, endless and continuous, and like the yellow river overflowing, once it started, it couldn't be stopped. At first, Qin Kanyun could still block the opponent's fist strength, but as time passed, after a long period of resistance, a carelessness caused his true power to not keep up, and he was immediately found a flaw by the opponent, and a punch slammed into the protective shield on his body. Bang bang bang, one after another, the fist strength came one after another, and Qin Kanyun's body shook violently, and he retreated again and again, with blood overflowing from the corner of his mouth. Finally, with a wah sound, he opened his mouth and spat out a mouthful of blood. His whole body flew out like a broken rag, and fell heavily to the ground. Hee, what grand elder, that's all. Patting his hands, the Iron Tower man glanced at all the Qin family disciples with a ferocious expression and a disdainful look. At this time, the arena was silent, and everyone stared blankly at the dark-skinned middle-aged man standing proudly there, and then looked at Qin Kanyun lying on the ground, their eyes dull. The Grand Elder has also been defeated. For some reason, a sense of panic spread among the Qin family disciples. Not only them, but the surrounding people were also dumbfounded, so frightened that their eyeballs almost fell to the ground. The Qin family has always been majestic and awe-inspiring in the Great Qi Kingdom, and is considered top-notch. They never expected that they would be easily defeated by these few people, without any effort at all. This strong contrast made it difficult for everyone to accept for a while. Immediately hand over Qin Feng, the murderer who killed my sect's young sect master, otherwise, don't blame me for being merciless. I'll count to 3. If Qin Feng doesn't come out, I'll kill one person. Every 3 counts, I'll kill one. I'll see how many people your Qin family can kill. Too lazy to waste words, Nian Shuo couldn't bear it anymore. He took 2 steps forward, his whole body exuding killing intent, like an angry lion, about to kill someone.